It works on everything.
I love the cooling sensation on my athlete's foot.
What a relief for my eczema.
Nothing worked on my dry, cracked skin until I tried Blue Star.
Blue Star is great for scalp itch.
Look for the white box with the Blue Star in the first aid section. Feel Blue Star work fast, or your money back.
Fans 55 and over can enjoy a nice long walk around the diamond for Independence Blue Cross Senior Stroll the Bases immediately following the Phillies-Angels game on Wednesday, August 30th at 1:05. Order tickets now at Phillies.com. Bring Bryce home on Sunday, August 27th at 1:35 when the Phillies face the Cardinals, and kids 14 and under receive a Philadelphia Water Ice Bryce Harper Funko Premium Vinyl Figure. Order tickets now at Phillies.com.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898, 800-700-6898, or biglou.com.
Philadelphia, the ideals of our nation were shaped right here.
And we work together to uphold them.
I'm Fred Shropshire.
And I'm Jacqueline London. This summer, let's celebrate our wins.
Walk-off number 4!
Embrace our different perspectives.
Help our neighbors.
No idea how helpful this was.
Honor our heroes. And share the laughter.
At NBC 10, we'll always be here to tell your stories.
Count on it.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Monday, August 21st. It is indeed Kayal and Company here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube as we head until 10 o'clock this morning. 855-839-1210, the phone number, on Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. I am at Nick Kayal, K-A-Y-A-L. Dawn Stensland with the news. Greg Stocker is the chairman of the board. Daniel Valdez, Anthony Dorenzo, our associate producers. Big week upon us. Wednesday, debate night in America. All sorts of different options, alternate feeds. We'll break it all down. Dawn, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing great.
How was the weekend?
Awesome.
Gregory?
Fired up, ready to go.
I'll take that as no. Oh, we got some good stuff today. Trump, debate, decisions, Fetterman's makeover. I don't know if he's looking like Walter White or Tony Bruno.
Or somebody who doesn't look like... Is that really him?
I don't know. I had flashbacks to when Andy Reid lost a little weight and trimmed up the stash, threw on the glasses. We'll get to that. Elon Musk is throwing a block party. Kid Rock and Queen in the news. A lot of good stuff to get to today. All sorts of variety. If you've liked that type of show, nice little mix of the bag, all sorts of goodies, we got you. We've got you. All right, before we get to the big take this morning, which will be centered around Donald Trump's decision from Friday evening and also his post yesterday on Truth, let's get some news. Let's get some facts. And for that, at 6:04, we go to Dawn Stensland for round one of the news.
Yes, and good morning this Monday morning, August 21st, as we count down the final 2 weeks of summer. 73 degrees, I'll tell you, when the heat is on this morning. In the news, we're waking up to news that 3 people were shot early this morning as a teen party was just breaking up in North Philadelphia. So one of those victims, a 17-year-old girl who is, according to authorities, she is listed in critical condition this morning. So I begin, unfortunately, with tragic news. 9+ shootings over the entire weekend, but just early this morning on the 1300 block of North 10th Street, we're learning about this one as 3 people remain in the hospital this morning. Police say dozens of juveniles were seen fleeing the scene as police officers arrived.
So 9 shootings in the city. So we're trying to give Chicago a run for their money. And, last call. Most times it's grab another drink. This time the last call was fire your bullets if you have them. It's time to go home, kids.
So
But it's great.
Yeah. We'll continue, obviously, to follow that one as Philadelphia police, once again, as always, had a very busy weekend, this with a lot of violent crime plaguing us. South Jersey, I'll update you in South Jersey on the wildfire that is spreading. When I went to bed last night, it was at 100 acres, waking up this morning to 200 acres. So it's only 5% contained, according to the New Jersey Forest Fire Service. So they're battling. We have dozens of firefighters, obviously, out there. A lot of apparatus still coming to the scene, or scenes, I should say. But this is Wharton State Forest. If you've ever visited, and I know many of you have, it's absolutely a beautiful, treasured place in New Jersey. Flames now have grown to 200 acres in size and only 5% contained. So they started, by the way, at Jackson Road near the Atco Dragway in Waterford Township. And so that's why they're calling this fire the Dragway wildfire.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Okay.
We don't have a cause, and I'm not insinuating there's a connection to where it started. I'm simply saying on that one, they continue to investigate, but it has since spread from that area to Camden as well as Burlington counties. So updating you, obviously, on what's going on in Hawaii. That death toll has now risen, and as well, we're hearing more fallout from the situation as far as people answering why. Why didn't they turn on those sirens?
Mm-hmm.
So we're hearing more and more about Hawaii, the death toll, the search for more bodies. That death toll continues to rise, and we've been updating that one.
And we had that story you had on Friday where the one guy said that had I have done that, it wouldn't have changed anything, that it was it was too late, or...
Yeah, and the truth is that the people there have said, because they don't normally have this kind of fast-spreading fire, they're used to when the sirens go off, it's pretty much considered a tsunami siren.
Right.
So obviously there's more going on to this. They need to have a different sounding siren, train and educate the public. I mean, and so it's a tragic situation, but they didn't want people running for the higher ground. But ultimately, the answer that was the truth as to why they didn't sound it, it just doesn't sound good on an international stage.
Right.
And then, of course, we have what's going on in Southern California, and this is making history, obviously, in Southern California. We've never seen this kind of, first of all, they have Hurricane Hillary, now tropical storm, but they have flooding. This is rare, 80, 90 years since they've seen this. And then on top of it, 5.1 earthquake with feeling the aftershocks for weeks to come. So that's striking California. Let's talk about, and there's so much to talk about this morning, and I'm not even touching on the other political stuff because obviously Nick Kayal's going to get to a lot of that. But we do have to talk about our Philadelphia Phillies. So we lost, the kids in media lost. It's rather depressing right now. But the sweet part of this, as media fell to Rhode Island in the Little League World Series elimination game, 7-2, that final score. But it was pretty awesome that 3 Phillies superstars were cheering on the kids in Williamsport right before it was their turn to play. So that one making national news. It was a 7-2 loss, and we didn't have a great outcome either with our Philadelphia Phillies. We lost to Washington, to the Nationals. So I hope this isn't a sign.
It's a sign that baseball season's about to wrap up, and it's football time in Philadelphia.
Well, the deal is that, we lost 4-3 to the Nationals. It was inspirational, but we're still the losers. So that's the reality this morning, right?
Yeah, I'm ready for the playoffs. I know we've got a couple of more games to go, but, I'm ready for postseason baseball.
So everybody's saying we're still a wild card contender, yada, yada.
Yeah, I'm just sick and tired of seeing the Marlins and the Nationals, to be honest.
Boo!
So bored with those teams.
I know. So that one, we're I don't know. Everybody's talking about the Phillies right now. I know we have Eagles coming up and the fall and all of that to talk about, but I just have to put it in perspective. This morning when you wake up, yes, it was inspirational making national news, but on the other hand, it's a bummer to wake up to.
I agree.
I'm searching for good news. So let's talk about the forecast. If you like the heat, there's the good news for you. NBC 10 first alert forecast. So right now, a cool 72 degrees, partly cloudy as the sun rises, and we're looking toward we're in the 90s today for our high. So we are heating up. Hot, humid, 92 degrees for your high. A lot of sunshine until Thursday and Friday. So tomorrow we are at 81 degrees. Wednesday, 83 degrees. Thursday, 80 degrees. So we have this midweek stretch in the 80s. However, toward the end of the week, we'll talk about that moving forward. Showers for Friday and Saturday. This is your first look at Kayal & Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 6:10 here on this Monday morning as we kick off another week with another Big Take.
The Big Take on Kayal & Company.
All right, the Big Take. The stage is set. Heading into the weekend, it became official. Donald Trump will team up with Tucker Carlson on Twitter and offer an alternative option to Wednesday's first GOP primary debate on Fox News. Now, some will say this debate is still very early on in the process, almost an exhibition, if you will. It's late August. People are on vacation, doing their back-to-school shopping, not quite ready to settle into their post-Labor Day weekend grind and go full throttle straight through until the fall holidays. For others, this will be a mixed bag, while others will view this as the official start of debate season. And no matter how you view it or how or who you'll watch, we have something for everybody. But before we break down the who's, how's, and why's, we should all arrive at, I think, one distinct conclusion and be in agreement on this. With Trump and Tucker, it will be entertaining as hell, but also predictable as hell. With the other GOP primary options in Fox News, it will be pretty ordinary, but also important as hell. So what do you prefer? Do you prefer the entertainment or the policy? The known or perhaps the unknowns? And I say policy loosely because the Fox News debate could very well be all about Donald Trump, and we know that certain GOP primary contenders are against Trump. Some are for him, and they'll basically dance around him. And we will certainly preview this in further detail on Wednesday morning and react to it on Thursday morning in the Big Take. But here's how we have arrived at this point. On Friday afternoon, it became official. Donald Trump says he will skip the Fox News debate and do an alternative interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson instead. And at this point, will anybody actually be watching the GOP debate live on TV? Carlson, who was fired by Fox News, appears to be stealing the show from his former employer by interviewing Trump. The news comes after Trump confirmed he would not be attending the debate, saying, quote, "As everyone is aware, my poll numbers over a wonderful field of Republican candidates are extraordinary. In fact, I am leading the front runner and the runner-up, whoever that might be now, by more than 50 points. Reagan didn't do it, and neither did others. People know my record, one of the best ever, so why would I debate? I'm your man. That's pretty strong words from Donald Trump. And it's also very hard to disagree with Trump's strategy here. The selfish side of me wants Trump in the ring. The logical side of me says it's not necessary and way too early. Now, Trump can talk about the following: the political persecution and prosecution of Biden's weaponized DOJ, the 4 indictments that he is facing, the pathetically laughable timing of the indictments, not only during election season with the expected court case start dates, but also the timing of the indictment announcements right after bad news for the Bidens. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but in all 4 cases. He will then probably be asked about January 6th again, and the same goes for the 2020 election again. He will then blast Chris Christie and his sloppy attempt at being the schoolyard bully. He will call Ron DeSantis all sorts of nicknames like DeSanctus or DeSanctimonious. And then he will get into what I believe most Americans truly need and want answered: how he will implement policy the second time around that fixes the everyday lives of Americans ruined by the Biden administration. But over on Fox News, while the Trump elephant in the room will be looming large, there is opportunity. Lots and lots of opportunity. Milwaukee, Wisconsin will be the first launching point on a grand stage for everybody not named Donald J. Trump. You will have Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Doug Burgum. Now, according to the latest Fox News power rankings, Trump is the frontrunner, obviously. Ron DeSantis and Tim Scott are contenders. Vivek, Nikki, Pence, Christie, and Burgum are in the conversation. I disagree with that. I see no contenders at this point, and I would put DeSantis and Scott in the conversation with Vivek, Nikki, Pence, and Christie, except I would rename it the total long shots. But Wednesday night means a lot for all of them. For many Americans, it could be the first time they are paying attention to any of these names, faces, voices, personalities, and policies. And I strongly believe that first impressions matter. I believe Wednesday night is also do or die for Ron DeSantis. But here's the Florida governor over the weekend addressing our national security issues. Take a listen to this strong statement.
They also appreciate my tough stand on the border. We will actually get the job done. And yes, that involves building a wall to stop the invasion. We're going to use force against the Mexican drug cartels. They're basically foreign terrorist organizations. They're killing tens of thousands of Americans every year, and yet people just let it happen. When I'm president, that stops. If they try to break into our country with fentanyl, that'll be the last thing they do. They'll end up stone cold dead.
You'll end up stone cold dead. Pretty strong statement from the Florida governor, who I believe has no margin for error, especially with Donald Trump not being present on Wednesday night. Also, you got to factor in how DeSantis has kind of lost his grip on the number 2 position in some polls to either Vivek or Chris Christie. And then we have the rest of the field. And speaking of Chris Christie, here is the former New Jersey governor once again infatuated with DJT. Listen.
There's no other conclusion to come to that he's both afraid of me and he's afraid of defending his record. And if I had his record, I'd be nervous about showing up too. And let's face it, guys, by Wednesday, he's going to be out on bail in 4 different jurisdictions. That really, when are we going to stop thinking that's normal? When are we going to allow our country to understand again that nominating someone who's out on bail in 4 jurisdictions is not a winning formula?
All right, pal. So we know that you exited New Jersey as the governor with terribly low approval ratings. You allegedly threw a water bottle at a female staffer. You have been butthurt over Donald Trump snubbing you, and you want to joust with Trump on the microphone. That's cool. But what's your policy? What's your vision? And don't tell me Joe Biden is awful. Everybody knows that. We need details. Vivek Ramaswamy, superstar in the making? Perhaps. Rising up the board? Absolutely. Here's Joe Rogan pointing out a few of the traits that we've mentioned about Vivek right here on Kayal and Company. Listen.
That Vivek guy is very interesting.
Yeah.
He's he's very rational and very smart.
He does seem to talk directly about the issues.
Yes.
Right? Unlike some of the folks who are speaking more aspirational and talking about, direction of the country, he does seem to focus more on these are the things we need to do specifically.
He's also clearly very, very intelligent, like superior intelligence. Like when you hear him discuss nuanced issues, he also has very good emotional intelligence, because I've seen him not just challenged but disparaged on radio shows and podcasts, and he handles things very, very well. And that discussion with him was what got Don Lemon removed from CNN, because Don Lemon and him went at it. I think he's, but he's very young too. Like, would people want a 37-year-old guy running the entire country, even if it's a truly exceptional mind and truly exceptional person, which I think he is.
Rational, smart, focuses on the issues. That's Vivek, and that's why he is rising up the board. I would say keep doing exactly what you are doing. And then, of course, we have Tim Scott and Nikki Haley, the duo from the low state. Both scream VP options. Scott has a simple message that resonates, but can he exude the charisma and some of the intangibles that you need as a leader? Nikki Haley, the same would apply for you. Mike Pence, just keep pumping your gas. Wednesday night is going to be wild on multiple fronts, on multiple platforms, with multiple Republican politicians, all of which are better options than Joe, Kamala, Gavin, and anybody else the Dems can pull up. But the gorilla in the room remains the man who won't be present via traditional means, that being Donald Trump. But then again, these are not traditional times, and that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
All right, big take this morning. If you want to jump in, thoughts and reactions, 855-839-1210. You can get us on social media at 1210WPHT. And, of course, on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. We'll come back, get some reaction to that as we roll on 6 o'clock hour underway here on a Monday morning here on Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now. Call QC Kinetics. Dawn Stensland here. You know, QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all-natural advanced regenerative medicine. And they're helping people here in the Philadelphia region every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body, which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. Zero downtime. How about that? This is a remarkable option. You need to check it out, and the consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics now. 215-999-3000. Would you just call QC Kinetics? Call them today. 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Do you feel like you're always looking for another energy boost? Then try Rescue Orosine from Rescue Natural Supplements. As we age, our bodies don't tend to produce enough natural fuel to get rid of that stubborn feeling of fatigue. Well, Rescue Orosine provides just that. Orosine helps by boosting energy production at the cellular level, while also supporting a healthy heart and blood pressure. Right now, our exclusive radio listeners can buy one bottle of Orosine, get another one free. Just use the code FUEL when placing your order. Call today, 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Make sure you mention the code FUEL, F-U-E-L, when you call, or use the code at the online checkout. Again, use the code FUEL when buying a single bottle of Orosine to receive a second bottle free.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
All right, it's Kayal and Company, 6:25. Welcome back in. Happy Monday to all of you. Hopefully you had a good weekend. Nick, Dawn, Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us on YouTube. John Fetterman, Joe Biden in the news as well. We'll get to that before we get out of here in the first hour. But a very interesting weekend as we get set for the GOP primary debate Wednesday night on Fox. Donald Trump announcing Friday afternoon around lunchtime that he would, in fact, be doing an alternate version with Tucker Carlson on Twitter. So that is the big news coming out of the weekend. We kind of expected that and anticipated that. But I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, but I do want to share this because it seems as if it's not just the first debate that Trump will be skipping, but it looks like he could very well be skipping all of the debates or a lot of debates. This was Trump's post on Truth Social Sunday evening. He says the following: new CBS poll just out has me leading the field by legendary numbers. Trump, 62 points, 46 points above DeSanctimonious, who is crashing like an ailing bird. Ramaswamy, 7%. Pence, 5%, Scott, 3%, Haley, 2%, Sloppy Chris Christie, 2%, Ada Hutchinson, 1%.
Asa.
He says Ada in the post. The public knows who I am and what a successful presidency I had with energy independence, strong borders, and military, biggest ever tax and regulation cuts, no inflation, strongest economy in history, and much more. In capital letters, I will therefore not be doing the debates. Is Trump skipping out on all of the debates?
Sounds like it.
That really sounds like, hey, you know what? I have nothing to prove to any of you bozos. You guys can keep knocking each other out for the next handful of weeks and months, and I'll be at the finish line. Is that how we read that, or is that just the Fox primary debates on Wednesday night? That does not seem like the same context as what he said on Friday, where he said he would be joining Tucker Carlson. Am I reading into that too much?
I think he's leaving him. I think that he could change his mind, but as of right now, he's not going to the first one.
Okay.
And, I think right now, this moment, he's probably a little more concerned with Georgia turning himself in, being fingerprinted. Is that going to happen? Will he be mugshotted? I still think with the Georgia news this week, even though he's not there on Wednesday in Milwaukee, he will be there in the sense that they're all going to be talking about him.
Okay.
So But I think, will he show up at any of these debates? Maybe.
All right. I've got a question for Greg in a moment from a programming standpoint, but I want to ask you this, Dawn. So we have 8 of these individuals that have qualified for Wednesday night, and Trump, of course, will be on a different platform with Twitter and Tucker. Thursday morning, what is the headline coming out of Wednesday night's debate? If you had to think of one headline based on something that happens on either platform with any of the contenders, positive or negative, I've got one written down here, and my headline is that DeSantis ratchets up his attack on Trump in first GOP debate. But is it too late? That's my headline for Wednesday. I get the sense, I get the feeling we're going to get a very lively, animated, non-robotic Ron DeSantis. I just don't know if it's too late or not. And I know it's just the first primary. It's still, quote, early. But much like in a football game, we can't keep saying it's early all the time. Eventually, it's no longer early. That's my headline coming out of Wednesday night.
I think the headline, I think any of the candidates, especially DeSantis, could only wish that they'll be in the headline. I think Trump will still be in the headline somehow.
Okay.
I think they'll say Trump still leading,
Yeah.
and I think that's not going to change.
Yeah, that's a good point. I could be overthinking that. I tried to just stay away from Trump for a moment because it's just so obvious. It's so easy, but that could very well be the case.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. Do you think it's a good idea for Trump to skip all these debates?
At this point, I don't think he has anything to gain. We're not going to be surprised by anything he says. His polling numbers, obviously will keep going up the more these legal issues go on. At this point right now, selfishly, I would love to see him in it. Logically, strategically, there's no upside because it's almost like everybody else that wants to get in the mud with you and wrestle and fight over the toys in the sandbox like a Chris Christie is going to do that.
Let's be fair, though, guys. If this was Joe Biden doing this, you both would be taking him to the woodshed. I'm sorry, Don. I didn't mean to speak for you because you didn't even answer, but you would be taking him to the woodshed for this, Nick.
That's correct.
Right, and that's where I was going to go with it. That Trump and the GOP and Republicans heavily continue to criticize the fact that Joe Biden ran that campaign out of the basement and then got the media's help to, poo-poo any negative stories, such as the laptop Hunter Biden story, etc. So to do that, and Trump has said that and criticized Biden, so he cannot get away with the entire campaign just hiding from the other side.
I just think, though, debates in their nature are inherently confrontational. They're meant to be a bit contentious, and Trump never shies away from confrontation, whereas Joe Biden never wants to get into confrontation, always deflects, never answers anything, and the only time he is confrontational is when he gets a reporter that shouts something at him that irks him and catches him on a bad day. Whether it's, a Peter Ducey or somebody like that where he's like, oh, I knew you'd be the one that would ask something that's stupid. Give me a break, man. Like that's all you really get from Joe. So especially when you look at their track records, it's like, no, I think Joe should be out there on a stage to debate, to defend whatever it is that he can claim victory for, which I don't think is much. Whereas I think Trump has more of the accolades. He's always been the more confrontational, and he will always debate you almost on anything. Right now, I just don't think it serves him, much like in his best interest today. He won't be going up to any podiums at 11 o'clock from Bedminster and offering whatever he was supposed to offer up. I think there's been some advice where it's like, hey, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't do that. And I think a lot of us crush him sometimes for his ego and not listening to other people in his ear, telling him what's best for him. Maybe he's actually listening this time, because I've got to imagine there's people in the Trump camp that are like, hey, you're up 46 points. You have nothing to gain. We're not going to put you in the ring. And he's like, okay. Let me ask you this, though. As a brand manager, Stalker, as a programmer, how do you think Americans are going to consume this on Wednesday night between the main event and the alternate feed? Or maybe Trump is the main event and the other 8 are on the alternate feed, so to speak. How would you prognosticate the way this will be consumed Wednesday night?
You mean like ratings-wise?
Yeah. Ratings, numbers, who does better, however you want to slice it.
I think Wednesday, August 23rd or whatever the date is, back to school, last week's a vacation. I don't think it's going to be well viewed at all.
So this is a loss for both sides.
And I believe that I believe that the Trump Tucker thing.
Yeah.
We said this last week. What's the best way to stack the deck against saying, "Hey, look at the ratings I got compared to look at the ratings you," because we know with Twitter that those numbers
they're not real.
Are skewed. They're 100% not real.
Yeah.
And you scroll through it and that counts as a view.
Right.
Whereas TV ratings are way different. So I think we know it's going to get a big number because of the amount of reach that Tucker and everybody else who follows him and retweets him has.
Right.
Of course it's going to get 40 million viewers or something like that. But that doesn't mean 40 million people watched it.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's already, he can already claim victory that more people watch me because we know more people are going to have scrolled through that Twitter thing.
Yeah.
We called this last week.
No, you're right. We did. And that's the way all the episodes on Twitter go. That's the way the DeSantis thing with Elon Musk on Spaces went. So the numbers are a bit misleading for sure. And there'll be people on social media, 38 million Tucker and Trump, 4.7 million Fox News. See, told you so. But what I do think is interesting is, especially for us on Wednesday night, like I'm not going to have time to watch one of those things live and DVR the other one. So I'm going to have Fox News on my TV, sound on. I'm going to have my laptop open with Twitter, Trump, and Tucker, and I'm going to have the sound on for that. And I got to be honest, when Fox is going to Doug Burgum or Tim Scott, I'm probably hitting the mute button, as bad as that sounds, especially if Trump is on something good, whether he's talking about the border or the economy or things like that. If Trump is prompted for 2020 or January 6th, I'll probably mute that and then turn the volume up for Chris Christie or Ron DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy. I think there's bits and pieces that I want to hear from certain people. There's certain subjects that I'm exhausted by and I don't want to hear from or about. I think that's how I'll consume it on Wednesday night, considering we'll have to cover all of it probably in the big take and in the first hour Thursday morning.
It already, the problem with it is that you can already write the script for the other candidates, and it doesn't, Trump not being there, I understand. Look, he has nothing to gain. Okay, fine. But you can already hear look, he's so tied up with litigations that he can't be, how's he going to be as president? You know what I mean? Like, you can already hear these, Chris Christie saying that, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, it's not, you don't want to give them any sort of leeway, right. And he's doing that by not doing these debates, which, by the way, he'd be great at. So I don't understand him not wanting to do any of these.
I got you.
I think ultimately, though, we have to point this out, and that is that some Republicans are, and we had Senator Bill Casey, a Republican from Louisiana, a lot of former Trump supporters are now saying Trump should drop out of the GOP race. And we're starting to see that. I think at the very least, the GOP owes it to the country and to the party to say, what's our plan B? What's the backup plan? He's turning himself in today, or expected to turn himself in today in Georgia. 100 counts. DOJ is coming after him. The states are coming after him. What's the plan B? What's the plan C? We'd be idiots not to think of when you go to a movie theater. The first thing I do, I'm looking for the exits, right? Right? We talk about that all the time. So why not look for an emergency exit as we talk in the headlines about fires and wildfires and all this and that, first responders? If we think like that, then why isn't there a plan B? And why not bring Trump in on that conversation, in fact, to say, Mr. President, what do you think about the GOP having a game plan for the what if, God forbid, scenario?
How does that sound?
I don't think he would take it well. And maybe that exit strategy or that plan B is Glenn Youngkin, which gets us to this story, which I find fascinating. 855-839-1210, the number, by the way. I've got the latest Republican candidate odds and also this story with Glenn Youngkin. So we know Trump's the runaway favorite from a betting standpoint and a polling standpoint. From a betting standpoint, he's minus 325, which means you got to lay almost 3.25 to win $1. Vivek Ramaswamy is the number 2 betting odds person at plus 600. He's 6-1. DeSantis is plus 750, so he's 7.5 to 1. And coming in at fourth, tied for fourth, is Glenn Youngkin at 25 to 1. Now, Glenn Youngkin at 25 to 1 is right there with Tim Scott at 25 to 1. Chris Christie and Nikki Haley are 50 to 1, and Mike Pence is 80 to 1. And you might be saying, Glenn, wait a minute. Glenn Youngkin from Virginia, how's that a thing? Well, maybe the betting market knows something, and maybe some of the people in the know have some knowledge, because the headline today is Rupert Murdoch encouraged Virginia's Glenn Youngkin to seek presidency. Media mogul Rupert Murdoch has repeatedly encouraged Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, to run for president in 2024. That is according to two people familiar with some situations that they have at least had two face-to-face meetings. The previously unreported meetings took place months ago, but Murdoch's ask has taken on fresh relevance as Youngkin continues to lay the groundwork for a potential last-minute White House bid. As we know, the New York Times reported in July in a story on how Fox News' coverage of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has turned tougher as his presidential campaign began to struggle, and that Murdoch had privately told people that he would like Youngkin to enter the race. So when you look at Rupert Murdoch, you think about Fox News, the New York Post, all of his power, the donations. You know, it was the pivot from Trump to DeSantis. DeSantis has not worked out so far to date. We'll see if he can change that on Wednesday night. And it's almost like Rupert Murdoch's plan B was DeSantis. Now his plan C is Glenn Youngkin. So you talk about, the Republican Party, who do you pivot away from for Trump? I mean, maybe they're just going to jump right over DeSantis and go up from Florida to the state of Virginia. Are you buying any of this?
Yeah, report. I mean, I think they're doing exactly what I had brought up, which is they would be idiots. The GOP would be stupid to not think of alternative candidates. And that's why I think they are talking to not only reportedly talking to Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin, but as well Georgia Governor Brian Kemp.
Yep, who I brought up on this show, yeah.
Yeah, so these are two very popular governors. Do I think Youngkin, do I think he's likely to do this? I don't think he's inclined to, because I think he'll wait and then go for 28.
Mm-hmm.
But, once the donors come after you, and this is all about the donors.
That's correct.
If everybody continues to go towards somebody else to say more and more, all of these, 100 charges across, in these spanning and ever-growing investigations
Right.
and persecution, prosecution, whatever you want to talk about it. The reality is that the argument could be made, well, if you support former President Donald J. Trump, then against everything, you would want to make sure that Republicans own the White House, earn the White House, and get in the White House to win the presidency.
That's correct.
Because that ultimately will protect Trump no matter what.
Yes. A Fox spokesman said Murdoch was not available for an interview, but Dave Rexroth, a chairman of Youngkin's Spirit of Virginia PAC, did not respond to questions about Murdoch, but said the recent flurry of attention from his media empire stems from Youngkin's success in Virginia. Quote, Virginia is getting attention because parents still matter, and Governor Youngkin's common sense conservative leadership is working, Rexroth said in a written statement to the Washington Post. Quote, there's more to do, so the governor's not taking his eye off Virginia. These races are too important. And, of course, we know many people feel like Ron DeSantis has taken his eye off of Florida and is not so infatuated or focused with and on his second term in Florida as governor, but, of course, his presidential run. So maybe Youngkin taking a page out of what should have been the DeSantis playbook, hindsight being 20, don't get involved with this yet, wait for 2028. And it would not surprise me in the least if you have a DeSantis-Youngkin battle in 27 and 28 where Youngkin could actually pull ahead, because I think he is very, very popular and doing a great job right now. So if you guys have thoughts, 855-839-1210 is the phone number. But very interesting that Glenn Youngkin, 25 to 1, along with Tim Scott. He's got twice as good odds as Chris Christie and Nikki Haley at 50 to 1. And Mike Pence, he's in the rearview mirror at 80 to 1, and he's still trying to fill up his truck. All right, we will come back. John Fetterman, we talked about DeSantis and having a makeover. what is this makeover with John Fetterman? And by the way, it probably has a lot to do with his 39% approval rating, which is almost the same as the president, Joe Biden. We'll get to that as we wrap up the 6 o'clock hour next. Nick, Dawn, and Greg here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement.
Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, NPN number 2083768.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Volvo Finance, in concert with Cherry Hill Volvo, is offering lease and cash bonuses up to $2,500. Purchase or lease a new XC40 or XC90 through Volvo Finance and through Cherry Hill Volvo and receive this additional bonus along with the aggressive pricing already posted on our Cherry Hill Volvo website. This is a special offer and it is not to be missed. Volvo Finance and Cherry Hill Volvo and you, a perfect partnership.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today. Now in the foot care aisle.
Hey, Kayal, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Welcome back in, Kayal Company, live here on a Monday morning as we kick off another work week, almost Labor Day. The holiday weekend upon us before you know it. I don't know where the summer went. Felt like just yesterday it was Memorial Day. It was the 4th of July. We were going to go on a bike ride. And now here we are, August 21st, winding down the summer.
We still have 2 weeks.
I know.
And by the way, like this whole
clinging to the end.
This whole thing where summer ends on Labor Day. Like, I get it, but we're not high school students or middle school. Like, September's a beautiful month.
Oh, I agree.
It's a gorgeous month. Sometimes it's hotter in September than it is August.
That's right.
Says the dad of a toddler.
Didn't they used to call that like an Indian summer? Is that canceled? Was that offensive?
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
Oh, no?
Indian summers are like, aren't they like really hot summers? Or something?
I thought that was like when September and October all of a sudden it was like 88 degrees. I don't know. Yeah. I love this time of year, though. I'm not in a rush to get through it. You know,
actually,
I'd like to live in Florida.
The first week or so of October can be beautiful, too.
I totally agree. I only dread it once we start turning the clock back and it's 4:48 p.m. and it's dark out.
Yeah.
And then I pour a cocktail.
But Greg, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Greg brings up a great point to me that because you have a toddler, you're not already in. It does depend on the age of your kids, right? Because right now, last week's football camp started. This week, all the camps start for most of the area schools, even middle schools and some grade schools. And then and also colleges are starting. Penn State starts today. A lot of the Temple, Drexel kids are moving back in as far as college kids. But then certainly by Labor Day that week or the following week, that's when the schools start. And it defines what you think of as, back to the routine.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it does depend on the age of your kids. You know, even if they're in college, you're still thinking about driving. A lot of parents driving them up. We were on the way to a family gathering over the weekend. My battery died outside Dick's.
No.
In Plymouth Meeting. I almost called you because you're not. So it was like,
Nick, can you bring the truck down and give me a jump? I'll be right there, Dawn.
But it was kind of first of all, nine people that when we started counting stopped and said, "Hey, you need to jump." Just a whole diversity of people. But most of them were dads with their kids, with their daughters, like yourself, or with school age kids getting back to school. And I thought about that. So this is what everybody's thinking about.
You had some diversity. Was there equity and inclusion with that, or just a D?
Yeah, no, there was no equity or it was it's all inclusive. That's the thing.
Yep.
When you see reality, people are just great.
Yep.
So many people, hey, you need to jump, but it was a lot of fathers and dads with their kids.
Yeah.
Going to, especially for sports, whether it was girls or boys, just going back. That's what, as you said about politics. We talk about politics and we're gearing up for Wednesday in Milwaukee, but I think most people, like you're saying, are dang, the kids grew out of all their shoes.
Exactly.
That's right.
Yes. By the way, when the Dawnmobile breaks down, does Larry change the flat tire, or is that a Dawn project? I'm guessing Dawn.
Dawn, no, they call AAA, don't you?
Yeah.
Roadside
we have the
assistance.
AAA Plus. They come right away.
Yeah.
They've got the chargy thing.
You see Dawn getting on the little thing and sliding underneath there and fixing everything. Larry, hand me the bolt thing. Pop that sucker off right away. All right, so 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in. So I saw this yesterday, and I really wanted to talk about this picture. So if we can have this on YouTube, Daniel, this is remarkable. John Fetterman has now changed up his look, his brand, his image, which is interesting because we've always thought of him as the Carhartt and the hoodie guy. He's a fashion icon. He's the everyman, and now he's gone with eyeglasses and a mustache, along with a dye job of the mustache. And I'm not sure if that's Walter White or Tony Bruno.
Oh my God!
Valdez says that I look like a Walmart version of Fetterman.
Yeah. Go to right now, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. There's a 4-screen now with the three of us and John Fetterman in there. It doesn't even look like him.
No, it doesn't. I mean, the face is thinner again, so you can tell he's lost a little bit of weight. The top of the head looks somewhat tan. I don't know if that's just the lighting. The frames are not bad, actually. And I've long thought that anybody that goes with a mustache in this day and age is doing it for a reaction and reaction only.
Oh no, mustaches are very popular.
Yeah, apparently they are.
They are.
I don't get it, but
the hip youngsters have the mustaches. Yeah. It's the ironic mustache.
See, the ironic mustache. My thing with the mustache here for Fetterman is I know Fetterman can grow a full beard. So it's clearly just a variation of his look. But there are, like, the Utes today, if they can't grow a full beard, but they can grow a mustache.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a bad look.
I love this 4-shot. I love this. It doesn't, I mean.
It's got a little like a Fu Manchu he's trying to grow in there as well, too.
If I was a conspiracy guy, which I'm not.
You don't think that's him?
I'm just saying.
Which is
it's a huge change.
Well, and you could actually, there might be some credence to your theory here because, as we know, Democrats don't show themselves in public too often. So whether it's Fetterman or Biden, we just go with the still shot image, and we have to take that for its face value.
Yeah. Let's start a poll on YouTube, Daniel. Is this John Fetterman or not?
Oh my God!
I bet you more people say no than yes.
Joe Ben.
Joe Ben.
No, it's not Joe Ben. It's John Fetterman.
But he does. He looks like a different person.
He does. Is that John? Is that Fetterman? The poll is up now. YouTube.com/@1210 WPHT. I'm going to just put
What was the
no there.
bet? He said he lost a bet
Yes.
to his son. What was the bet to his 13-year-old son?
Lost a bet with Carl, which apparently contained a selfie showing off a blocky pair of eyeglasses, a bushy new mustache, and the disappearance of his signature gray goatee. I believe the bet was with his son on, let me see if I've got some of these quotes here from the New York Post. I've got comments, but I don't have any details on the wager itself.
But, the truth is, he looks good. He just doesn't look like John Fetterman.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he doesn't sound good.
The Eagles!
It's like he's going to be still up there. It's still the same Fetterman.
Good night, everybody.
It's like you post that. It doesn't really change the substance or lack thereof. And a June poll found that 50% of Pennsylvania voters disapprove of his job performance, while only 39% approve.
This is the most lopsided poll ever. Right now, 93% say no, that is not John Fetterman.
I've never seen, I don't know. I thought these people had people in their camp and advisors, and I don't know. Is Politico going to do a fashion article on Fetterman now?
What's funny is that I was scrolling through Drudge yesterday, and he had a picture of it up there, and I just scrolled right past it, and I didn't even think about it. And then when I saw, when I was doing my show prep last night, I saw the story. I read the story, and I looked at the picture. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I just saw that picture.
Yeah.
And I went to Drudge. I saw it. I was like, I had no idea it was him. None.
This is just... I love the fact that we have the fourth box open for Fetterman. We should keep the fourth box open at all times.
All times.
Whatever subject, whatever topic. Maybe,
I love it.
Maybe a big donation can get you in the box. The best tweet of the day can get you in the box.
We should...
that's funny. That's a great idea.
Daniel, maybe if you can take a screenshot of this picture of the four of us and tweet it out for the people, or put it on Facebook or whatever, for the people who are driving who can't go to YouTube right now to see this.
I mean, all he needs right now is a T-shirt with a T-shirt pocket and a pack of Marlboros in the T-shirt pocket, and he would look like somebody's old man in the 1980s, driving in a Pontiac. John Fetterman, there you go, pal.
Pretzel Time on YouTube, on the YouTube chat, says, I'm still in shock that this guy is our senator. He beat an accomplished heart surgeon. Makes you realize how dumb people really are.
Yeah, that too. Or how weak our party was for both options this past fall that we talked about.
Could have been Kathy Barnett.
Could have been Kathy Barnett, who was on the Dawn Show this past Friday, correct?
Yes.
Everything go well there?
Yeah, she's getting ready actually for Wednesday.
Okay, I think we all are.
Right, with Vivek.
Yes,
so
indeed.
she's his national grassroots director.
Okay,
he's gonna have a good night.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Vivek and Christie will be the big winners.
All right, Stalker going with the headline: Vivek and Christie, big win.
But I think Burgum, who's very pro-life, by the way, and I think on a national stage that hurts him because his state has, he has proposed going, just banning abortion.
Right.
So that issue would play with somebody like Burgum. I'm sure that'll come up.
Yep.
But with Burgum, I think he's somebody who has everything to gain in the sense that nobody knows who he is.
Right.
It's like, who's that guy from the Dakotas?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's funny you bring up Burgum and being, very conservative. We've talked about Chris Christie and kind of the elephant in the room where he is the most moderate of all the GOP options. That's why he gets the run on TV. That's why he's a media darling. And then I start to think about Glenn Youngkin, who's a very traditional conservative as well. But what differentiates him from a DeSantis or somebody that might be too pro-life or conservative versus Chris Christie, who's too moderate? Is Glenn Youngkin kind of in the sweet spot, so to speak?
I think he is, because he talks about bringing the legislature together and signing that 15-month bill.
Yep.
He prefaces every sentence. He's very good in the way he speaks. He says, as a pro-life conservative, that's how he prefaces every sentence. But then he'll say, we had to bring people together on this important issue. 15 months, he says, is when the baby starts to feel pain, that they can feel pain. So he definitely has that pro-life message in there, but says he's like Pennsylvania, or was like Pennsylvania, where one part of the chamber is, conservative Republican, the other Democrat. He had to bring people together on some kind of thing. And so he's somebody that is seen as one who can bring both sides together. So he's more moderate as far as that goes, and believes that in the cases of extreme cases of rape and incest, this and that, and 15 months is what he signed. That's very different from the traditional Republican message.
All right. 855-839-1210. Dawn will have some news to kick off hour number 2. And Elon Musk is throwing the biggest block party of the summer. We'll get to that as we continue. Hour 2, working our way towards what's on the cut sheet. That's at 7:45, and we're back after this here on Kayal and Company. Nick, Dawn, and Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. It's back to school time. You need to call Kathy Ganna and New Hope Academy. Does your child or grandchild need more of a challenge? Now's the time to make the call to Kathy Ganna and New Hope Academy in Yardley and Doylestown, 800-300-0003. Let New Hope Academy transform your child's life forever by helping them now. For over 3 decades, New Hope Academy founder Kathy Ganna, pioneering educator and entrepreneur who created the NHA model, has been utilizing state-of-the-art solutions to uncover ways where your child could avoid struggling and succeed. At New Hope Academy, there's a student-teacher ratio of just 2 to 1, allowing for students to deal with many disorders, including high anxiety, social and emotional, bipolar. Do not wait. Remember, only the best teachers can work at NHA. Call for a no-obligation tour and consultation. 90% of NHA graduates pursue a college education. Call Kathy today, 800-300-0003, or online, newhopeacademy.net, 800-300-0003.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware, if you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
My partners had told me I should get my knee replaced. I was in my 40s, and I decided that I wouldn't do that.
That's orthopedic surgeon Dr. John Herzog, who found regenerative medicine years ago and became a believer.
It changed my life around. It improved me to a point where I was able to jog again.
That's when Dr. Herzog switched his focus from surgery to helping his patients with natural biologics.
I've treated at least 5,000 patients. I believe your body has everything it needs to heal itself.
Today, you'll find Dr. Herzog at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in this exciting field of medicine that can give lasting pain relief with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery.
I have patients coming up to me that I did 10 years ago saying, you know, Doc, my elbow's still working great. I'm playing tennis 3 days a week.
Call QC Kinetics now to explore alternative ways to deal with your pain. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
Kayal and Company, welcome back in. It is 7:02 here on this Monday morning. Great to have everybody aboard. Hopefully you had a good weekend. 855-839-1210, the phone number. Twitter and Instagram. X and Instagram, if you'd like to call it that, at 1210 WPHT. Get involved on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Stalker wants all sorts of subscribers, all sorts of likes. As we continue, the demand only goes up. A lot of good stuff coming up this hour. What's on the cut sheet coming up at 7:45. Also, we've got more COVID mask stories in the news that are circulating. And Kid Rock might have to be taken out behind the woodshed, folks. I hate to do it to Kid Rock.
Do you?
I hate to do it
Why?
to him. But you know what? We can't have these frauds doing this type of stuff.
He's a hypocrite just like the rest of them. Imagine that.
You're probably right. But we still got to hold their feet to the fire. There needs to be accountability here on this show. That's one thing we preach. 855-839-1210. And we'll get to Elon Musk here and X as well. But before all of that, let's get round number 2 of the news, 7:03 here on this Monday morning. The great Dawn Stensland.
And good morning. This Monday morning, August 21st, for many, it is back to school across our region. We are sponsored this morning by United Tire. I'll tell you when we'll heat up in the forecast. But for right now, we're in the low 70s. Let's talk about what's going on across our region. A mother and daughter both shot in Millville. This is Cumberland County. Yesterday, this happened. Police responding to the 500 block of North 6th Street. They say multiple gunshots were fired. When police arrived, they say they found this 14-year-old girl with a gunshot wound in her chest and her 36-year-old mother with a gunshot wound to her leg. And so the police are investigating this one. The girl this morning, we're told, is hospitalized in stable condition. Her mom was treated and then released. So ultimately, they say, first they heard multiple shots. Now they hear that 40 rounds were fired at the scene. So they're continuing to investigate the shooting. No reports of arrests or anything of that nature. So following that one very carefully this morning. We also have been telling you about a 17-year-old Philadelphia girl who remains in very critical condition this morning. As well, 2 other people were shot early this morning as apparently this teen party was just breaking up. This is North Philadelphia, North 10th Street. So police say 2 of the victims ran inside a home after they were wounded. But so it looks like those other 2 are going to be okay. The 17-year-old is the concern here. We don't have any reports of arrests or suspects or the motive for this. Police do say that, quote, dozens of juveniles were seen fleeing the scene as police were called in and arriving. 9 people shot over the weekend. We'll get to what's going on. A lot of natural disasters, wildfires. So closer to home, we have South Jersey, this huge fire spreading now to 200 acres overnight. Only 5% of this forest fire is contained, according to the New Jersey Forest Fire Service. And so they're saying that they're battling this thing. It's in the Wharton State Forest. And they say the flames started in the area of Jackson Road, right near the Atco Dragway. That's Waterford Township. And that's why you're hearing it in the media being called the Dragway wildfire. It has since spread to both Camden and Burlington counties. I know dozens of firefighters are on the scene, and we're expecting more are arriving this morning as it has doubled in size.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would love to get to the bottom of what actually sparked this and triggered it. I always feel like it's something very silly, whether it's somebody with a campfire or, I know less people now than ever smoke, but somebody throws a cigarette out, and next thing you know, it starts a little bit of a brush fire, and then it just, it goes from there and everything becomes engulfed. But I don't know how they ever get to the bottom of some of these.
Yeah, it's well put. I mean, and you bring up a great point, and that is accountability for this. And I love that you brought that up, in fact, because on a national level, I saw some of the different national stations saying, oh, climate change disasters. Yeah. When, in fact, to your point, personal accountability is important. And that's often what we hear at the end of the day. Oh, it was a camper who just didn't take the time to properly put out, their campfire.
That's correct.
So that's a terrific point that you make. Hillary is losing energy, but still treacherous.
But were emails deleted? That's what I need to know.
Unfortunately, we're talking about Hurricane Hillary, now Tropical Storm Hillary. I couldn't resist that headline, though. I'm teasing Nick Kayal with it. But with this really is unprecedented as far as Southern California and what they're dealing with. Storms and downpours, swamping roads, toppling trees, as concerns mounted that the flash floods could strike in places as far north as Idaho, which rarely get this kind of torrential rain. And then to boot, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake centered 80 miles northwest of Los Angeles, leading many in that city and surrounding areas to feel the quake and all the aftershocks. They're actually expected to feel these aftershocks for weeks to come.
Well, maybe, speaking of weeks have gone by since we started with Hawaii. Joe's heading out to Maui today. He's finally at the point where he doesn't think he's going to get in the way. Maybe Joe can just spend a lot of his time out on the West Coast between California and Hawaii these next couple of days.
Yeah, that's convenient, isn't it?
Yes.
That now he'll and I was hearing last night and even this morning reports of people in Hawaii where they had the horrible fires. They're still searching for bodies. The death count well over 100, and people not so excited to have the president visit.
I know. Shocking. It's almost like nobody likes the guy.
So I should mention for the Atlantic Ocean, for us on the East Coast, one of several budding storm systems in the Atlantic became Tropical Storm Emily yesterday, according to the National Hurricane Center. I saw one meteorologist say the dance card is full as far as hurricane season, thinking about that. So it's far away from land, obviously, but Tropical Storm Franklin forming in the Eastern Caribbean. Tropical storm watches issued for the southern coast of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. So a very active season as far as hurricane season already brewing, and that has been predicted. I was looking up when was the last time California had this kind of tropical storm or hurricane. Had to go back all the way to 1939.
Wow.
To find that level of a storm. Killed 100 people back in the day with California was ripped apart with that tropical storm that roared into California. So we are sponsored this morning, as I said, by United Tire, because you got to take care of the tires and the vehicle. Is your car's AC unit making you sweat? Time to cool off, cash in on savings at United Tire. Save $50 on any AC service with a purchase of 4 new tires from select brands at United Tire. Stop by or visit UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United always. NBC 10 first alert forecast as we look to when we're heating up. So by lunchtime today, we'll be at 85. The high today, 92 degrees. And then we'll have a nice cool down for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. We're in the 80s. Thursday, Friday, we're looking towards some rain. So we'll talk about that moving forward. That's your NBC 10 first alert forecast. This is Kayal & Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 7:10 here on this Monday morning as we work our way towards what's on the cut sheet. That is coming up at 7:45. But in the meantime, Elon Musk is now taking heat after an announcement that he made about his platform, Twitter, or X, heading into the weekend. So prominent social media users voiced strong disapproval towards X owner Elon Musk after he announced that the company was working on removing the block feature for the site formerly known as Twitter. Longtime users of the platform complained that the block function, which allows accounts to prevent themselves from being seen and interacting with specific accounts and keeps those accounts from engaging with them, is a crucial element of X. Musk made the controversial announcement over X on Friday in response to an account questioning the utility of the feature. Musk replied to the account's post directly, posting, quote, "Block is going to be deleted as a feature except for DMs." Musk seemed to be alluding to a way that users could block certain users from messaging them directly on the app. So this was the first reaction I had to this story when I saw this. With Elon Musk dropping the block button on Twitter, isn't that in a way cancel culture in itself? Isn't that in a way anti-free speech? Like, if you're restoring free speech to Twitter, which is great, which is what I believe he did, by creating the removal of the block would be very interesting because I don't block very many people at all. Like, you have to say something really out of line or make it very personal or a threat or anything like that for me to block you. Most of the time, I just mute the people that are a pain in the butt because they'll still follow me. They'll still get to see my posts. And I will, in some way, I guess you could say, kind of passive-aggressively deal with it by muting you. So I'm not going to shut you out. I'm not going to cancel you. I'm not going to block you. But I just won't see your nonsense anymore. And you can just keep tweeting into the abyss, and nobody will see it or hear it. I don't know that I like this idea. I think this is once again another variation where Elon Musk keeps tinkering with something that he's already lost a lot of money on that I don't think is a great idea at all. I mean, do you ever have to block anybody? I mean, I know we have some trolls in our YouTube chat from time to time.
Yeah, but I mean, there's trolls right now in the YouTube chat. We haven't blocked them. Daniel, by the way, on the YouTube chat thinks Dawn and I talk too much, and it should just be Nick's show. So
Daniel Valdez said that?
So he's gonna go listen to a podcast.
Oh,
because he doesn't know how radio works.
Right.
So no, I mean people are horrible to me on the. I never block anybody. In fact, I tell Daniel Valdez, if you block somebody, unblock them because I don't believe in. No, I actually think the opposite of what you think, Nick. I think that blocking is the form of censorship. So I'm glad he's taking away the unblocking or the blocking feature.
It's just, we've seen so many stories of, Twitter's very hostile, and ever since Elon took over, there's all sorts of racist content, and then there's threats, and there's we heard anti-Semitic stuff. I guess maybe I'm kind of in my own little world of the people that I follow, whether it's news, politics, sports, or entertainment. I just don't see a lot of the garbage that people complain about. I really don't.
I'll just point out what
Mike Carr says. I wish all three of you would stop talking.
I agree. The best show we could possibly do is if all three of us just shut
I
up.
love
we'll just sleep in.
I love the listeners. That's why I read the hate, because a lot of times the hate comments are way better than the flowery praise. I'm sorry, Dawn.
No,
please continue talking.
One of the headlines was that
Dawn, you talk too much on your show, by the way.
Fine, I'll just sleep in.
What a dope he is. Oh God, sorry.
We'll do what much of America has done. We won't come into work and just collect whatever Bidenomics will give us, whatever he'll dole out.
Yes.
And then you'll pay for it. Then you'll be sad. So I guess there are some headlines this morning because of what happened with movie star James Woods. That he did not like this and felt that it was some kind of cancel culture. So now they're saying Elon Musk is going to get the Bud Light treatment from James Woods and conservatives. I don't know if that's really true.
No Teslas for anybody. Interesting.
I don't know. I think
who cares? It's so like if you don't like Twitter, get off of it. I don't know
everything
what to say.
needs
to be on Twitter. Like if you don't like the new rules, like Elon Musk owns Twitter. He can do whatever the hell he wants to it. So if you don't like it, get off of it. Stop bitching about everything. My God.
So James Woods is saying that Musk is just doing this to protect advertisers.
Well, we know he's lost a lot of revenue there, which is why he's charging $11 a month for some of the features.
So but I think because I pay now.
Oh, you do?
I never.
Oh, no, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
Come on, no.
Because I can write it off. It's a work expense.
That's right.
God.
My cable and internet, I write off
both
as well.
of you.
Totally. It's just another subscription. Okay. I also subscribe to the Inquirer, which sometimes I really can't stand.
Yes.
So if you're a subscriber,
you also don't need to do that. We have a company account.
I know.
I'm always like, hey, do we have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal? Yeah, here, use this email and this password. All caps.
So I think if you pay for it, you should be able to do what you want.
Right. All right. If you guys want to jump in, your thoughts, you can chime in, 855-839-1210, or just post in the YouTube comment section on the Kayal and Company comment community. All of your hatred is welcomed, and we read the hate mail as we go along. But as we go along, the weather will eventually cool off. The temperatures are going to dip. The holidays will be here, and we will have an uptick in COVID cases. We're seeing an uptick in COVID cases right now. Why is the mask hysteria returning yet again here and across the pond? We'll get to that as we continue. Kayal and Company live here on this Monday morning here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me talk with you about my friend, board-certified prosthodontist, my dentist, Dr. Robert Bentz of Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. Dr. Bentz is nationally, locally recognized as one of the area's top prosthodontists. I stopped in to see him, showed me his 3D printer. We've talked about this before, but they have incorporated it so much in their practice. It really helps him expand his patient solutions, specialize in new ways to help you achieve your oral goals, makes it so convenient. We've talked about in one sitting and all the rest of it, some of the stuff he can do. Now more than ever, too. Local dentists, they refer their patients to him for more complex cases. He loves to be a problem solver. Call Dr. Bentz at 610-272-6949. Make that appointment today. He's my dentist, my good friend. He's at your service to get your dental health back on track. Call him with any questions or make an appointment. 610-272-6949.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Canella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
Parks Casino. Joe Conklin hosts national comedians every other Thursday. It's Joe Conklin's Comedy Night at Parks. Show dates and tickets. Go to joeconklin.com.
At Cherry Hill Volvo, we are partnering again with our Costco members. Purchase a certified 2020, 21, or 22 XC40, XC60, or XC90 and receive an incredible additional discount up to $1,500 off. A discount added to the unbelievably already aggressive pricing at Cherry Hill Volvo. Join us for this special offer. Cherry Hill Volvo and Costco and you, perfect together.
You're out of breath. Have a constant dry cough that won't go away. It could be interstitial lung disease. ILD is rare, but it's serious. It can be the fight of your life. And you can't face the fight of your life if you don't know you're in it. Ask your doctor. Find a pulmonologist. Get answers. There's hope. There's help. But don't wait. Go to lungsandyou.com/fight ILD.
How are you feeling this morning? If you're not feeling so good, if you're still aching with that pain that's been nagging you all summer and you put off doing something about that knee pain, it's only getting worse. What about that aching shoulder, that hip, that back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only options. Not anymore. Take my advice right now. Call QC Kinetics. Yeah, QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural, advanced, regenerative medicine. So they're helping people here in the Philadelphia region every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair your damaged joint tissue. It really is like turning the clock back and restoring your health, restoring you the way you used to be, right? The way you used to feel. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so, they work like they're supposed to, and zero downtime, by the way. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough. I'm telling you, patients are getting real, lasting relief and saying no to surgery, no to drugs. So if you have pain due to injury or maybe a little bit of arthritis, this is a remarkable option. You just need to check it out. The consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000, 215-999-3000, QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Kayal Company Monday morning, 25 minutes out from what's on the cut sheet, a big weekend edition of audio. All sorts of good stuff to comb through. That's coming up at 7:45 this morning. Also, Kid Rock in the news, as well as Queen. We will hit on both of those stories. And one of the big stories going around is what also is going around here in the community, so to speak, and that is a summer surge of COVID. Yes. The New York Post headline, amid summer surge of new COVID variant, should we be wearing masks? Not the New York Times, not New York Magazine, not the New York Daily News, the New York Post asking the question, to mask or not to mask? That is the question facing many doctors, public health officials, and concerned citizens worldwide as cases of COVID-19 once again take an upward tick. Meanwhile, the CDC warned on Thursday that there's a new, quote, highly mutated variant of the coronavirus named BA.2.86 that's spreading worldwide. And recent data from the New York State Department of Health released on August the 2nd showed that COVID cases spiked by 55% over the prior week, with an average of 824 reported cases per day across the state. The rise in COVID-19 cases is not limited to just New York. The CDC reported 10,320 hospital admissions for COVID for the week ending August 5th, a 14.3% increase from the week prior. So we have that summer surge going on. And then apparently when you test positive for COVID and you're a public figure, it is still apparent that you need to post about it on social media. I thought I was back in Nashville for a second, because the Fox TV station in Nashville, like the Fox 29 of Nashville, Tennessee, tweeted breaking news last night in all capital letters: Nashville mayoral candidate and council member test positive for COVID. And they've got the two headshots of the individuals. It's like John Fetterman posting a headshot of his mustache, or somebody, God forbid, passes away in a car accident. We're now posting the headshots again of those who test positive for COVID.
Are there any thoughts and prayers that go along with the tweet? Yeah.
Yes. Grateful for the vaccine.
Oh, yeah.
Symptoms are mild. Could have been worse.
Mild.
Was greatly appreciate everything that Big Pharma has done for me. So that's going around. And according to the WHO, the World Health Organization, they say that the latest variant, as well as the EG5, is a descendant lineage of XBB.1.92, which almost sounds like an IP address that you log into when you want to clear out your browser history. It apparently has the same spike amino acid profile, and they view it as a variant of interest. You're not a suspect, Mr. Kayal. You're just a person of interest right now.
It's so dumb.
I can't believe we're doing this.
Yeah. It's going to get worse, too, because obviously as the fall, colder weather comes in, obviously in the winter, cases are going to go up again, like the cold does, like the flu does.
Right.
So are we going to – my question is, and as a manager, I should probably know this, but are we going to go through the same sort of routine that we have the last 3 years where, I don't know, Dawn Stensland comes down with a cold, I have to make her test.
Right.
Because she's in here with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to continue to do this? Because we don't do that with the cold, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope not. But in the event there's something that goes around and you say, hey, why don't we just work remotely from home on Friday and do the show with our microphones in Zoom or whatever, I'm not going to object to that. Although I think at this point it's look, we know the proper protocol. If you don't feel good, stay home. If you want to take a test, take a test. If you test positive, okay. I mean, I ran past you in the hallway for a cup of coffee. I'll roll the dice. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't. Especially when they're sitting here and they're telling us, well, the other Omicron subvariants have distinct similarities, such as fever, cough, fatigue, muscle aches, and headache. Geez, I have 3 of those every week.
And that's just from drinking too much.
That's just from doing radio and drinking whiskey and an occasional bad golf shot. I just don't get it. And then you think we're overreacting. Well, they're overreacting across the pond. The Brits are masking up now, which is remarkable. Experts have warned that it is, quote, reasonably certain that the UK is in another wave of COVID-19, and they are now suggesting that people wear face masks again. Again, I don't care if you suggest it.
Yeah.
If you make it optional, just don't mandate it.
Are they wearing the face mask because of flu or other things? Because COVID, unless it's the specialty one.
Right. Which, which is wild, because for all these years with the flu and the cold and whatever else was going on, most people never wore a mask before. Like, it was one of these things where it's like, yeah, if I get it, so be it. You know, again, like if you're one of those high-risk people, I got it. Like, I'm not sitting here saying if you're 74 years old, you're obese, you're diabetic, you've got stage 2 cancer. Like, I get all of that. But, like, healthy guy walking around at 28 years old, double masked. I mean, there's one lady, and she must have something. I go to my local liquor store. Not only does she double mask, she wears latex gloves.
Yeah.
Which I find really odd. But
She
I'm
works
not a
there, right?
germaphobe. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a place that I go to as well where the women wear, or there's a woman who wears that. Maybe it's the same place.
Which is also an interesting thing, if you've ever noticed. Every liquor store I've ever gone to, especially the ones that are not like locally owned and operated, but that are ran by the state. They're run by the state. It's been a while since I did that. Where's my tip jar? They employ the weirdest individuals, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe I'm going to get to that point where I need that second job, and I'll just sit there and try to stick a big jug of vodka in a small paper bag, and I'm like, yeah, it's not going to fit in there. Just stick it in the plastic bag, lady. Like, I'm serious. So
they're so funny.
These COVID stories are just. I think you're going to keep seeing them pop up as we move along nonstop here.
Yeah, 3 hours ago, Earth.com, new COVID variant has 30 mutations on the spike protein.
30
What does that mean?
mutations. It's like the secret of the ooze, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's like when Splinter mutates. It's unreal.
There's something there's a reference I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, you weren't thinking about that one, were
I
you?
can't believe we're more than 3 years out of this, and
Yes.
we're still talking about this.
Yep.
It's unbelievable to me.
I agree. It's like musical variants. Where it stops, no one knows. 855-839-1210.
Was Leonardo your favorite or Michelangelo?
I was always a Raphael guy because he
Okay.
loved pizza the most.
No, Michelangelo liked pizza.
Oh, that's right. He was the orange one. Yeah, you're right. Raphael was the red one.
Michelangelo's my favorite.
What's wrong with you? Come on.
By the way, the remake that came out a few years ago, terrible.
I can't imagine.
Terrible. All right, but as you guys know, COVID's going around, but so are the deals at Piazza Auto Group.
I see what you did there. Look at that.
I mean,
Look
I can't
at that.
believe it.
Come on. Come on.
They haven't even taken away 0.9% APR. It is remarkable. And I'm currently in the 2023 Honda Ridgeline. So if you're in a truck and you want to get into the truck market, Piazza Honda of Springfield, sensational. Philadelphia, Langhorne, Pottstown, or Reading. They're in Pennsylvania. They're in Delaware. Dan Piazza's at one location. His brother Tony's at another location. Jamie is fantastic to work with. And all their sales staff and service people, sensational as well. But if you don't want the truck, you can still get the special finance rates because it's available on the Civic, the Accord, the CRV, the Pilot, and many more. The Piazza Auto Group now with 17 brands, 35 locations. It's my go-to and Dawn's for all things automotive. To find your new or certified pre-owned vehicle today, just visit them at piazzaautogroup.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
Southern California pounded by the area's first tropical storm in over 80 years, with some requiring rescue from torrential rain and intense wind. Philadelphia orchestra musicians have voted to authorize a strike, and Olga Carmona, Spain's World Cup hero and the lone goal scorer in Sunday's final, learned shortly after the match her father had died.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
Our oceans are true climate heroes. In fact, they've absorbed over 90% of all the excess heat trapped on Earth, but they can only take so much. Join Oceana to help protect our oceans at oceana.org/hero.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Veneria is and has been my dentist also. And, doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to them, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Veneria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Veneria's office does everything. Dr. Veneria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com.
The PBP, Voices of Baseball, is a podcast about the art and craft of play-by-play, and we're in the middle of an amazing season. Catch up on episodes with Joe Buck, Joe Davis, Pat Hughes, and more, and learn along with me, Matt Spiegel, how the job is done.
It's not just home run Bryce Harper in the Phillies lead. To really do it justice, you got to widen the lens. What does this home run mean?
The PBP, Voices of Baseball. I bring you the people who bring you the game. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a serious heart condition. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. My HCM impacted how I felt and what I could do. So I asked my cardiologist about treatment advances that gave me new options. That conversation was big for me. Talk to your cardiologist today. You may be glad you did.
John was compensated for his time. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or your back? Don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now. Call QC Kinetics. Dawn Stensland here. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all-natural advanced regenerative medicine. And they're helping people here in the Philadelphia region every single day with these amazing natural treatments which restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body, which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. Zero downtime. How about that? This is a remarkable option. You need to check it out, and the consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics now. 215-999-3000. Would you just call QC Kinetics? Call them today. 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hey, Cherry Hill. We know your favorite station is WPHT. Tell your smart speaker, play 1210 WPHT.
Any way you want it, that's the way you need it. Any way you want it.
Kayal and Company, any way you want it, you can get it. 1210 a.m., the free Odyssey app, on social media at 1210 WPHT, or, of course, live on YouTube for those of you that prefer the video version of the festivities. 855-839-1210, the phone number. Very interesting story coming up later this morning about a trans ban. We'll get to that. Cut sheets at 7:45. Kid Rock and Queen in just a moment. A lot of people eating it up on Twitter this morning with the post and the picture of John Fetterman. Newman Price just put out a tweet. He says the following: just released a new pic of Fetterman, or is it Fetter Nick? Maybe Kale Man. But he's got my head on Fetterman's body.
Yeah.
I would say I'm the better Fetter, but that's just me. Henry's dad says that's a porn stash.
Henry's dad.
We always love Henry's dad.
Yeah.
And a lot of people gobbling it up as far as John Fetterman, Tony Bruno, Walter White, myself, those that are bald, those that were or are bearded, or occasionally a mustache. I don't know. How would I look with a mustache? I've contemplated it, but it would solely be for reactionary purposes. And I'm not even going to try to say it would be a good look. I don't look good at all when I shave the face.
Yeah.
It's not if you're bald, you go with the beard. If not.
Yeah, because it it somehow balances things out.
It does. I would look like a big pudding face without a beard.
Old pudding face Kale.
Old pudding face Kale, not to be confused with
mustard.
Which, by the way, I'm still getting tweets over the weekend of, oh my God, I love the mustard drop. Hands down, number one. All right, we'll get to Kid Rock in a second, but let's grab Ray, who's in Warminster.
Oh boy, Daniel has the four-shot with Fetterman up there. If you're just tuning in now,
yes.
YouTube.com/@1210WPHT to see the revamped Fetterman.
Hey, actually, if we could, and if you have a chance, Daniel, what I would love, for just a moment, if we can take Greg and Dawn out of the middle. Keep Fetterman on the right, I'll be on the left, and then put Tony Bruno and Walter White in the 2 and 3 holes. And we'll play like whack-a-head. We'll see which head was going to respond better. Very interesting. Ray's in Warminster. He's got some thoughts on COVID. What's up, Ray?
Hey, I'm going to actually have my mouth and nose sewn shut for the rest of my life because I think that's the way to go with this fear porn stuff. I'm afraid to leave the house now.
I agree, man. I agree. You should wear a bag over your head, too.
Well, listen, you're not the first one to tell me that, by the way. I mean, you know. Have a nice day, everybody.
All right, there he is, Ray in Warminster. He's going to wear a helmet, a mask, gloves.
You know, I like Ray's call because he gets in, gets his point, gets out.
I agree.
That's a good
strategy in many walks of life.
That's a tutorial on a call.
I agree.
Get in, get out, stop.
Have a take and don't suck.
Yeah.
High efficiency.
Thank you, Dawn.
Yes. You know, speaking of efficiency, there's no doubt that the Bud Light boycott was highly efficient. To this date, it's still wildly effective. But one of the biggest proponents and advocates of going against Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney was Nashville's own Kid Rock. Now, you can't be, well, I guess you can be when you're Kid Rock. You can pretty much do whatever you want. But Kid Rock was spotted with a Bud Light can during a Nashville concert months after the Dylan Mulvaney debacle. Now, this is what's staggering to me is you're going to grab your rifle, your shotgun, you're going to load up all your social media apps, you're going to put up a big thing of Bud Light in your backyard that's 8 acres big, and you're going to fire off a few rounds and blast all those cases of Bud Light, and then you're going to be exposed at a concert. So, new video footage and social media pictures taken from Thursday in Nashville of a Thursday night show that Kid Rock attended a concert while holding a Bud Light can. Photos and videos began circulating across social media that showed the famed country rock singer attending Colt Ford's concert at Nashville's Skydeck venue. Very nice place, by the way. Kid Rock was positioned in the VIP section upstairs, and at one point is even shouted out by Ford as the crowd begins cheering for him. Video posted on Skydeck's official Instagram page show Kid Rock saluting Ford by tipping his cap while also holding a Bud Light in his hand. Well, Outkick reached out to Kid Rock and his management for comment, but they have not gotten a response. So it'll be interesting to see the way this plays over because Bud Light is pretty much dead in the water, so to speak, as their sales have drastically declined over 30% in recent months. And we know April, May, June, July, August is how the beer distributors look at sales. And then they say, all right, here, we're going to do a fall reset when we reposition the beers in your convenience store, your grocery store, your distributorship. And a lot of people have said either Bud Light will take a back seat or Bud Light will be taken off of the shelves entirely in some spots. Now, one of your biggest proponents, it's almost like, is this the one thing that could bring Bud Light back to life? Oh, no. You conservative critics, you guys are hypocrites.
No, I don't think it'll bring Bud Light back. I think this just shows. I mean, you know, everybody criticized you, Nick Kale, because you said if you were at a party and that's all they had and you wanted to drink, you would drink it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I will. I will drink it if it's the only option and it's free. So my fantasy football draft is 6 days from now, this upcoming Sunday. I will not buy beer. I will not buy Bud Light. I will not. Only thing I will do is if that's the only option, and it's cold on Thursday, I'll drink it.
But
I won't post a picture of it.
You didn't shoot it up.
No.
Shoot up cases like Kid Rock did.
No, I did not.
So, you know, it makes him a giant hypocrite. Look, if he was at a place and that's all they served and he wanted a beer, okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, don't be a hypocrite then.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So
I agree.
All I heard there was, so your fantasy draft is this weekend so that you don't disrupt
There's
Labor Day weekend. Because some people have the draft Labor Day Sunday or Monday.
That's correct. My other league does that the Sunday before Labor Day, which I hate.
There, if you're watching right now on YouTube, there's the photo of Kid Rock with his dumb hat on.
Yep. That's a tall can.
Drinking a tall can of Bud Light.
Yep.
So
that's a 16-ouncer.
I mean, look, he's famous, so everything he does is going to get photoed. But if you're out at a place and you order Bud Light, put it in another can or put it.
Yeah, just pour it in a solo cup, right?
Put a koozie on it or put it in solo cup.
I love the koozie, by the way.
Me too.
Used to be a staple at all radio station promos.
Absolutely.
The ground crew.
We need the 1210 koozies. Kale and Cup. Yeah.
Hey, how about Kale's koozies?
Ooh.
We like to drink on this show.
Oh, man.
It's a good play on words. You get the 1210 logo.
I think Kale's koozie looks it looks too much like the word coochie, and people could take that the wrong way.
Dawn. I don't know, Dawn. I'm looking at Nick's Twitter pics over the weekend.
His what?
Yeah, Kale and Company, where we love coochie.
I mean,
yeah, I should.
I'm just looking at your pictures on Twitter over the weekend.
Yeah, so actually,
you do too.
Before we get to the cut sheet, so I might as well just share this now. So.
Careful.
I was expecting everything to work out with my wife and my daughters coming up here. I've shared this on Twitter, and a lot of people last week in the YouTube chat that were, did Nick say ex-wife? So it did not work out. Everything's fine, very amicable. They will not be coming up, which sucks to not see the girls on a daily basis. But that played out, and I've told Dawn and Greg about this and everybody at the station, over a month ago. And I felt like it was the right time. And I've got a girlfriend. Her name's Rachel. And Bucks County girl, Dawn. Likes Jalen Hurts. Likes Donald Trump. I'm like, all right. Sounds like a keeper material. Not like a fourth-round keeper in my fantasy draft from last year with a good player I selected, but still pretty good. So figured I would share that since a lot of people have been asking questions.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
we're sorry. I mean, first of all, that's... you're going through something tough.
Right.
So my advice is rebound relationships. You know what I mean? You just have to, protect your heart. But I'm sad for the,
Hey, and I followed
your
other advice because I was at the pool yesterday and I did some sunblock just on the nose. The nose getting a little well done.
Got to wear the sunscreen.
Got to take care of that. Which, by the way, I did on Saturday as well when I was golfing.
Good.
So there you go. So I share that with the people. Rachel, big fan of Kale and Company.
Well, I mean, I'm just, it's, you did post something on Twitter after it happened.
Yeah.
But for those, not a lot of people are on Twitter. You've mentioned stuff on the show that have gotten reactions. So I just,
everything I say is content and material. Everything I do.
Well, look, you're an open book. And
I am. Some people want to slam that book shut.
Well,
sometimes I have to.
But you have to be like.
And on vacation next week, I will not be posting a damn thing.
Thank God.
Total reboot.
Thank God.
I'm like John Fetterman. I'm going to come back with a whole new. I'm going to do the show on Tuesday after Labor Day with new eyeglasses and a mustache.
Ooh.
How about that?
Yeah, the glasses are kind of. I don't know. We do have to show Nick's glass like a set. Let's see.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of copying your glasses.
He is. Often imitated, never duplicated.
Yeah, see?
That's correct. So if we can get that picture up on the YouTube with the four of us, me, Bruno, Walter White, and Fetterman, that would be pretty cool.
Good.
All right, but it is 7:45. I'm hitting breaks on time today.
Wow.
I'm hitting segments on time today.
It's Monday.
Let's get to what's on the cut sheet, shall we?
What's on the cut sheet?
What's on the cut sheet on this Monday is brought to you by our good friends at Cherry Hill Volvo, where they have ample inventory of brand new and beautiful pre-owned Volvos. Enjoy the luxury experience you deserve. They always go the extra mile for their customers because relationships matter at Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out on Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. Tell them you heard about them on Kale and Company. All right, a lot of stuff over the weekend. Let's get right to it, shall we?
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis is really not helping himself at all. He's taking the Chris Christie approach, but he's not doing it well.
No.
So he shreds Republicans who think kissing Trump's rear end is the only political value as listless vessels.
Oh, God. Listless vessels.
Listless vessels.
And these are the elected officials, not like his base of voters that he's talking about.
I don't know if he's talking about the Republican candidates.
Okay.
I think that's who he's talking about. But, of course, Trump supporters heard this as, like, another name.
Right.
You know what I mean? Another
not helping
deplorable whatever.
Okay.
Here's Ron DeSantis over the weekend. Cut 4, Daniel.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you are a rhino or not. And so you could be the most conservative person since sliced bread. Unless you're kissing his rear end, they will somehow call you a rhino. So it's been totally detached from principle and what you actually believe and results, and it's more about just what faction you happen to do. So there'll be people who are huge Trump supporters, like in Congress, who have like incredibly liberal left-wing records that's really just atrocious, and yet they're viewed as by some of these folks as like really, really good. Then you have other people, like a Congressman Chip Roy, who's endorsed me, Congressman Thomas Massey. These guys have records of principle fighting the swamp that are second to none, and yet they will be attacked by some of these people and called rhinos. So it's just been totally detached from any type of substance, and ultimately a movement can't be about the personality of one individual. The movement has got to be about what are you trying to achieve on behalf of the American people, and that's got to be based in principle. Because if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
Wow. Yeah, he wasn't referring to Republican candidates. He was talking about Trump supporters.
Okay, because I was going to say, if he's talking about the elected officials, then I have no problem with that. If you're ripping the actual Trump supporters, those of that base that you will absolutely need now and in the future in 2028, that's a bad move. I was going to defend the guy because I generally agree with his principle, and I'm going to be consistent with this. I just said this on Friday when I had my meltdown on the air where I said, so you're telling me that everybody not named Donald Trump is a rhino? We were talking about Chris Christie being moderate, and I defended DeSantis on Friday. I said he is one of, if not the most conservative governors in the country, much less Republican primary candidate. So I'm not going to come off of that here, but dude, you can't go. See, this is where the infighting, and Dawn, you always bring this up. Democrats, they have their issues, and then they rally behind each other, and they jump on board, and they're all in stride, in sync together. And here we have this divide again, swamp versus non-swamp, rhino versus the conservative, the whole bit. I give DeSantis a little credit for taking some shots, and I think now maybe my headline that we predicted Thursday morning could be a precursor. DeSantis comes out swinging. I don't think he's got. Actually, you know what? You could argue he doesn't have anything to lose at this point, does he? He's struggling. He's swinging.
Yeah, but I think as far as the most conservative, the base, if you will, the GOP base, feels insulted. And so now people are lashing out. So first of all, to Greg's point about the highly efficient caller, right?
Yes.
If you're going to say this, then say it.
Right.
Yeah.
Then in the looseless vessel on the what?
He's pussyfooting around.
So just say, if you don't follow me, you're a loser.
Yep.
You're going to lose the White House.
Yep.
You're a bunch of losers. You need to snap up. If that's what you're going to say, then say it to me.
I think the worst part of all of this, you are absolutely right, but I feel like the worst part of all of this is the people that were so angry, like we're so fired up because we see how good, like Trump even said this is a wonderful group of candidates. There's a lot of talented people here, and yet we're losing to the other side with failed policies, decrepit old candidates. It's just like, that's the most maddening part of it. It's like we know we have the better team, yet we're still getting beat by the team that's filled with guys that are in the retirement stage.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right, and that's what a DeSantis or whoever should say is, hey, are you kidding me? We have the worst economy. We have inflation through the wazoo. We've got wildfires. We've got all these disasters. And where's the president? Where is he? We're giving Ukraine how many more billions of dollars?
Yep.
Everything's on fire.
I agree.
It's in air quotes. And so how does the GOP not come together and say, how could we still in the polls Biden still wins our top guy.
By the way, I have a new branding thing.
Uh-oh.
Nick Kayal's Navy, listless vessels.
We're gonna need a bigger boat, Hooper.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It writes itself.
The branding opportunities on this show are for all the companies out there that are looking to spend their ad dollars on Kayal and Company.
Yeah.
It's limitless here.
It is.
We thank you.
Joan on the YouTube chat writes, because if you're watching right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Also, please hit the like button. We're like 28 likes away from 100, so please hit the like button so we can get to 100. Joan writes, we have the 4-shot up of the new and improved John Fetterman, where he has a stash and it doesn't look like him. She says, I'm trying to drink my coffee. Please take Fetterperson down so I don't get sick.
Fetterperson.
Sorry, Joan.
The Fetter creature.
But yeah, if you want to see if that really does look like John Fetterman or not, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We've decided, we took a poll in the 6 o'clock hour, and nobody thinks it's really him. So
it's a photo op.
Just saying. CNN legal analyst Ellie Honing says that Jack Smith trial date is closing on infringing on Trump's rights.
Oh.
I just think this is interesting because, again, he's a CNN legal analyst.
Yep.
So when everybody kind of goes off the reservation on that network, I like to point it out. This is what he said about, because there was this big back and forth over the weekend about changing the trial date. Trump's camp wants it in 2026. Jack Smith's camp wants it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they need some sort of happy medium, and he thinks that Jack Smith is pushing this too far. Cut one, Daniel.
On its face, I wanted to get your take on what you think about the push to 2026, because quite frankly, the contrast is almost comical between the request from Trump's attorneys and the request from the special counsel asking for January of next year.
Yeah, Kate, and I think both sides are far off base in their requests. 2026 is sort of obviously way too far out there. It's hard to even conceive of 2026. I think that's a vast overreach by Donald Trump's team. But on the other side of the coin, asking for trial to start in January of 2024, as DOJ has done, is also not just unrealistic, but really gets close to infringing on Donald Trump's right to prepare for a trial. He's the one who has a constitutional interest here. He's the one whose liberty at stake. And I think his lawyers in their submission make a powerful argument that we cannot even physically get through the 11 million documents that we are in the process of being given by DOJ between now and January. And they don't have to just sort of read through those documents. They have to analyze them. They have to prepare their own defense. They have to file motions. So I think both of these dates are really out of bounds, and I think it's going to be up to the judge to find a middle ground. Of course, the big question is, will that middle ground be before or after the 2024 election?
Well, very interesting thoughts from a former federal prosecutor himself in Ellie Honing. And you think about the rights. It's like, well, I mean, sarcastically saying Donald Trump doesn't get the constitutional rights that the rest of us get. We talk about whether it's First Amendment, free speech. We talk about the right to a fair and speedy trial. All of that, and this is why you hear phrases like a weaponized DOJ, a political prosecution and persecution. I mean, this is not coming, and not that he's biased, but this isn't coming from Alan Dershowitz.
Yep.
This isn't coming from Jonathan Turley.
Yep.
This is the guy who you would think on CNN is saying, all of these cases have tons of merit and validity. He's questioning it. I think he's onto something, and I don't disagree at all.
One more from him. He was on the Aidan McLaughlin podcast.
Huge pod.
The interview. We talk about this, we made the prediction last week, will Trump get convicted? Dawn made the point that if you throw a bunch of spaghetti at the wall, something will stick, 91 counts or charges or whatever. Ellie says that if Trump gets reelected, he's not going to jail at all. And the interviewer asks a great point, but what about Georgia? He can't pardon himself in Georgia. How would that work? And he has a really good answer. This is cut 2.
Is he going to actually go to prison is a lot of people's question. Let me just lay out the steps. A, he has to be convicted, right, which could well happen. I actually think it's quite possible. Then he has to be sentenced to prison, which I think in any of those 3 cases is likely. Then, though, if he wins the election, forget it. If he wins the election, he'll throw out the DOJ cases, he'll pardon himself.
And the Georgia case?
The problem with the Georgia case is they're not going to be able to try him while he's sitting president. I mean,
oh, wow.
Constitutionally, given the federal supremacy doctrine, there's no way the federal courts will allow she's a county level prosecutor. I mean, that would be the same thing as if the Sussex County, New Jersey, I don't live in Sussex County, but like the Sussex County, New Jersey prosecutor tried to put Joe Biden on trial right now. Right. It would never happen.
So
I've heard people say, well, constitutionally, we don't know. I'm sorry. My legal analysis on this one boils down to that ain't happening.
So if Trump wins 2024,
right,
all of these indictments washed away.
Well, the DOJ indictments get dismissed. Or he'll try to pardon himself. We don't know if that's legal or not. But the problem is the only way to challenge a self-pardon is DOJ has to indict him and then litigate it. It's going to be his DOJ. I guess theoretically he could be charged. He could be tried in New York and Georgia in 2029.
Right.
But I mean, if that's what we're waiting for, I'm not going to hold my breath on that.
He's an old man.
He'll be 80, whatever, two, and it'll be the conduct will be a decade old. I mean, I don't know how that's going to actually play out.
2029. I mean, Donald Trump might not be alive in 2029.
Well, yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
So everybody thinking that this Georgia case is going to go, like, Ellie Honig doesn't believe that this will be tried before the election. I agree with him.
Yeah.
And if he wins the presidency, it's
a moot point
it's
almost.
Game over.
Right.
But that's why this weaponization and let the voters decide.
Yeah.
And so a couple of things I will just say that with moving forward with the GOP, and I'm just like I'm trying. This is why I can't tweet during the show because then I go down that rabbit hole and I'm like going back and forth, But the truth is that the GOP and anybody who supports Trump is unwise to think about this as a big picture situation, and to think about every American. We deserve transparency. We deserve a new administration because this one is incompetent.
Yes.
And so if you believe that, and if you believe that Trump deserves this and has been wrongly, even if for those who think, well, he did a few things here and there, or January 6th, what he said, blah, blah, blah. Even if you think that, do you really think at this level, this weaponization with Jack Smith, who we've seen his cases before that were weaponized, that were thrown out once they went to SCOTUS?
Yeah.
And let us not forget that even if they get these convictions, it might be appealed and SCOTUS may whip it.
He hasn't fared well against the highest law of the land.
And so none of this seems fair. And also, what are both sides? If the GOP isn't coming out strong and saying this is wrong, and now are we setting this historic precedent to do this to every president? Do we really want to do this?
I'm not sure which three letters I despise hearing more, CDC or DOJ. Because I've got this. I mean, Greg found this story earlier, or yesterday. We didn't get to it earlier in the morning. The headline: Hunter's lawyers vowed to call Biden as a witness and rip Trump, and now they're claiming. You talk about this DOJ, right? Hunter Biden's lawyers vowed to call President Joe Biden as a witness and complained. Think about this. They complained about ex-President Donald Trump's influence on the DOJ in a trove of newly leaked documents. Yet Donald Trump and the DOJ in cahoots, as if Donald Trump has Merrick Garland eating out of the palm of his hands.
Not so much.
It's like the complete opposite here, as you were just saying.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing stinks. And so then if the GOP is not doing that, is not doubling down, because if this were turned, and imagine this is happening to a president who's a Democrat, Nancy Pelosi, it doesn't matter who are political enemies within a party, they would all unite. And they would be on every media channel saying, look at how terrible this is.
Yep.
Those Republicans, they're weaponizing their DOJ.
Yep.
This is a historic. How can this happen? They would all come together. So my question then is, what is it? Is it the swamp? Is it deep down both sides just don't want Trump? And that's why you see the doubling down. You mentioned the latest CBS poll first thing this morning, Nick Kayal. That's why I think people ultimately have an instinct to question government and question all this and say, well, wow, it seems like both sides in the swamp don't want Trump, so maybe I need to think about why I do want him.
That's correct.
You spent your big take this morning, Nick, on the GOP debate that is happening on Wednesday. Donald Trump is not participating in it. By the way, if you didn't hear it, you can go back on the Odyssey Rewind feature. Go back to 6:10 a.m. this morning if you want to listen to it. It's the great thing about the Odyssey app is you can, if we're not doing something now you like it, then you can go back and find a part in the show.
There you go.
Paul Begala was on CNN last night. And, look, he's a Democrat, but he's a Democrat strategist. He helped get Bill Clinton elected in 1992. He's a smart guy. He was talking about Trump doing the sit-down interview with Tucker Carlson. He doesn't think that's a good idea. He has a better idea of what Trump should do. This is cut 15, Daniel.
It's the biggest thing that happened in Atlanta since they surrendered the city to Sherman in 1864. It's going to be huge. And the fact that Trump's not at the debate in person, he'll be there, he'll dominate because he's ahead by so much. I think Christian's right. He's making the right decision not to come to the debate. I think he's making the wrong decision the way he selected his counter programming. He's going on with a fired talk show host on a failing platform. He's Donald Trump. He should have a rally. That's what he does best. Not sitting around whining with Tucker Carlson. He needs to go to Iowa, the first state, have a big rally, and he would blow out the debate. That's me as a strategist. I'm not pro-Trump, obviously. I don't support the guy. But he seems like he's more interested in being petulant and punishing Fox News, right? Going on Twitter with their ex-star. What he ought to do is worry about winning the election, not about punishing Fox News.
Well, it's two things. I think going on with Tucker Carlson on Twitter is actually a good thing. But as far as a rally goes, if you really want to go away from the Tucker Carlson Twitter type setting and do something in person, I would go right to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and hold a rally in the same city, across the street or wherever from where that debate is going to take place. Stalker, I'll give you an old reference from the wrestling TV wars.
Yep.
Remember when WWF and WCW were going at it, and WWF showed up with one faction of wrestlers outside of the arena in Atlanta where WCW was taping a show. Do it right in front of them.
I agree.
Do it in Milwaukee. But how do you get it to the masses, though? There's got to be some way to transmit the feed. It's got to be on Twitter.
I 100% agree with you. He should do it right across the street.
Yeah.
Hold a rally right across the street.
Yeah. If the Brewers aren't playing baseball that night, do it in Milwaukee Stadium.
What a brilliant idea. Yes. And then do broadcast that on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
they both want to stick at the Fox a little bit, which I'm totally fine with. I got it. I understand the vendetta. I understand the motives here.
But what they're not understanding is that there's a built-in audience for Tucker's Twitter feed already.
Yeah.
There's no chance that this is not going to get any less than 40 million views.
Right.
I use views in quotation because you can scroll it on it for 1 second and it still counts as a view. But you can already claim victory.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't even have to see the numbers from Fox News on Wednesday night.
Nope.
Tucker Carlson and Trump on Twitter are going to beat them. No question.
I would agree.
RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel still holding out hope that Donald Trump is going to come and do the debate. She was on with Maria Bartiromo on Sunday. She said this, cut 14.
So let's take a look at the lineup there. I think that President Trump will not be there on the debate night. What are your thoughts on that? And who did make the debate stage?
Well, I'm still holding out hope that President Trump will come. I think it's so important that the American people hear from all the candidates. But there's a lot of candidates that have qualified. We're at 7 right now that have officially qualified with the small dollar donations, with the polling threshold and the pledge. And then we've got some that are on the cusp. So we're going to be looking at polls the next few days. There are 3 or 4 that are waiting for 1% and one more national poll to make that debate stage.
Well, I think she can forget him showing up. I'm not sure. I guess that was on one of the Sunday morning shows with Maria.
Yep.
Trump posting on Truth yesterday, again, that he will therefore not be doing the debates. And I quoted that CBS poll. That sounds plural, as in, don't expect to see me anytime soon at any of these events.
Yeah, I understand what she's saying and what she's trying to do there, but it just, it does kind of sound like she's begging. I hope he reconsiders.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Fox wined and dined him for dinner, trying to get him to, hey, this is going to be great for you, and, by the way, it'll be great for our ratings.
She also sounds a little clueless. I mean, I think Maria knows better that you hear Maria. I mean, Maria's talking to Trump. She's like, nah, he's not going to show up.
Yeah.
And so I think, where is Rana saying, but at the same time, although we have these great candidates and any one of them would be a better president than Biden, why doesn't she come out and say, this is horrible and unprecedented what we're seeing? Let the voters decide. Why isn't she saying that? Why isn't she talking about this historic persecution and going after a leading presidential contender? It's not like it's Vivek or somebody who's, 10, 11, 5. And this is somebody who is by far and away the leading candidate challenging Joe Biden.
The man won.
She should be saying that.
He beat Hillary and won in 2016.
Yes.
In 2020, didn't win, but got 74 million votes, 12 million more than he did the first time around, and now has opened up such a lead that Rupert Murdoch is on the plan C to dethrone Trump, with Glenn Youngkin possibly.
Yeah, and I think Rupert Murdoch is a smart business person. And I imagine he's talking to Trump too, but he's saying to Trump, as a business person, you always have a plan A, B, C, D, and E.
Yep.
So I think Trump understands what Murdoch's doing better than most people.
Well said.
We touched on this a little bit in the 6 o'clock hour, but for those just tuning in now, Nick, your thoughts on him not doing any of the GOP debates?
Selfishly, I want him to do them from a show standpoint, from a content standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint. But strategically and logically, I get it. You have really nothing to gain. If you get in there with Christie, he's just going to do the pot shots. If you get in there with Ramaswamy, he's just going to bow down and worship you. And then everybody else is kind of in between, bobbing and weaving. DeSantis now seems to be more aggressive. But when you're up by this much, there's no reason for the prize fighter to step into the ring for an exhibition right now. Show me who's a contender, and then if somebody becomes a threat, you take care of them.
The conservative talk show host Eric Erickson held a gathering in Atlanta over the weekend called The Gathering.
Oh, boy.
Where he got all the Republican nominees except Trump. Apparently, he didn't invite Trump.
Oh, okay.
In full disclosure, I know Eric. He's a nice enough guy, but I think he's part of that anti-Trump crowd.
Gotcha.
Chris Christie was there. He blasted Trump for being the apple of Vladimir Putin's eye, and it got a pretty raucous ovation. Cut 5.
This is a proxy war against China, everybody. China is funding the Russian effort by buying their oil. China is coordinating the obtaining of sophisticated weapons, not only from China, but from North Korea and Iran, for the Russians. And I have to tell you something. We have folks in this race who have called Vladimir Putin brilliant, a great leader, and just yesterday, Donald Trump called him that he was the apple of Putin's eye. I have to tell you the truth. I don't want to be the apple of Vladimir Putin's eye. I don't. I'm telling you that right now. I don't want to be. And so a Christie administration would stand up for our friends around the world and work with them. We would expect friendship in return. But those are big things, consequential things. And I don't think you hear a lot of other people talking about those things in this race.
We are expecting friendship in return. Friendship bracelets. Who wants a Russian buddy band? Here's the deal. We have heard about Russia so much. We have heard about China so much. And how many times when we talk about politics do we talk about distractions? I'm so tired of hearing the Russia distraction. And like, when you're a Republican or a Trump supporter and you question the funding and the endless blank checks to Ukraine, well, you must be pro-Putin. No, I'm not pro-Putin at all. The guy's a monster. But if I don't hear Russia in 2024, that would be a great thing for me. I'll just say that right now.
By the way, if you're watching on YouTube, he looked good in that clip, and I think it's because the chair was nice and wide for him, because the problem is when he sits in a chair that's a little high up.
Oh, God.
His gut, kind of
well,
sticks out a little
I
bit.
saw the belt. The belt's still there.
Yeah.
We had some pouch. The water bottle's interesting. I thought maybe he was going to pick that up and fire it at one of his female staffers. So there was a lot going on there.
By the way, the key word in that Christie clip should be apple.
Apple.
Because Christie should eat more of them.
Ouch.
Sloppy Chris Christie.
Oh, it's okay. Remember, Don, he called me a weasel that one time on the radio?
That's right.
Yeah, so.
You do have a little Bobby Heenan to you.
Stop.
Vivek Ramaswamy at this gathering said this, cut 6.
I'm like, gosh, he's not just younger than me, he's like a decade younger than me. This is, But, okay, so in that regard, I mean, it does open you up from the opposite side of Joe Biden as ancient of days. How are you going to respond to people who say, well, you might just be too young to run for president?
I accept that question. I think it's a legitimate. We're talking about a very serious question here. This is a job interview of 7, 8 good people, whatever it'll be, starting next week. And, I think that there are legitimate questions to ask of who is somebody too old to be president. I actually think not. I think there are plenty of older people who are sharper than many people my age and may still yet have their best days ahead of them. And so,
just to be clear, that's not the president.
That's not Joe Biden. But well, I mean, the deeper problem with Joe Biden is he's not really even the person running the country. I truly believe that. It is the managerial class wielding him as a puppet, right? And so I think that's the deeper reason. You don't hear me talking that much about Joe Biden. I don't believe I will be running against Joe Biden in the general election. I'll be running against somebody else. And so I think it's a form of a feigned retreat to sort of lead us to criticize one man for his age or his failures when the deeper problem is the cancer that sits underneath him, that we have to open our eyes and actually see that truth in order to get to the other side of it. But back to your question about, am I too young? I don't think so. If I did, I wouldn't be in this race. But I'll remind you that I'm in this race to revive those 1776 ideals of this country. Well, who wrote those 1776 ideals on a page? Thomas Jefferson. When he signed that Declaration of Independence, he was 5 years younger than me right now. He was 33 years old.
Interesting.
Wow. Number one, he does look very young in this video.
He
I don't know
does.
if he was just freshly shaved or clean shaven, but he looks very young there. And I don't have a limit on how old you should be or how young you can be. To me, it's case by case, like I've said. Donald Trump much more with it at 77 than Joe Biden at 81 when it comes to having their faculties in order and the whole bit. Probably the sweet spot is you're in your 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. But, Vivek's only 37. And
38.
He's 38.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay.
He just turned.
So, a young guy, younger than me by about 2 years, but he still has a lot of time. So, like I've said, I think he's had a breakout performance. He screams like he could be VP or a cabinet member for sure. And I think he's just incredibly articulate when it comes to laying out his stuff. But age limits, too young. Look, I mean, it's not the age for him that bothers me. It's the lack of experience. Like if he was in office for a while, but then I guess that would make him a part of the swamp. I would have a little bit more faith that he could do it. I don't know how he would handle some big picture issues. I mean, you can give me the talking points. That's fine. I don't know how much of fear he would instill in other world leaders.
Yeah, life experience matters.
Correct.
With Trump, he is somebody who was never a politician before, but certainly his life experiences as building businesses, not just in America, but around the world, the contacts. I mean, the world leaders all knew who he was. He knew them. He was on a conversational basis with a lot of them. So very different, not just as a TV celebrity, but as a businessman known worldwide. So I think that's the difference, because a lot of people might say, well, Trump never had political experience like Vivek, but big difference between those two personalities.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you guys a question. We talk a lot about, somebody too old. Do you guys think, and forget the 35 to run, do you think that somebody can be too young?
Yeah.
But I agree with Vivek.
But even at a grassroots level. I mean, I think you could be too young to run for city council or township solicitor or whatever at 27.
I think if you're like you've mentioned Walter White, John Fetterman, who was being supported until 50 plus, being supported by his parents.
Right.
Right? And so obviously, you look at Vivek, obviously a self-made guy and not from a wealthy family at all, from Ohio, grew up in Ohio, and just made a self-made guy worth $400+ million.
Right.
So this is somebody who at a very young age, I think, was that old soul. And I loved what Joe Rogan said about him, and you played that earlier about his emotional intelligence. He is clearly a cut above the rest as far as the way he thinks, and he thinks outside the box, right? But I think ultimately,
I don't think he's ever going to take the bait and let his emotions get the best of him.
Yep. And he always has something interesting to say.
Yeah.
But he's an interesting, smart young businessman, young family man. He's a great speaker, but that's really all we know about him.
Yep. But he's very measured, to your point.
Yeah, but so as far as age goes, I think it depends. Let the voters decide. I don't think we should ever, with a broad brush, say, oh, well, somebody's too old or too young. I think that ageism is like racism or sexism. I think it's actually the one ism other than political ism that's allowed in this country, the whole, boomers.
Yeah.
There are some boomers who would kick everybody's butt, and they're still on top of their game. So you can't define anybody by their age, by their ethnicity, their religion. I just think that's always a mistake.
I also think I think that we've pointed this out too. It's the these vegetables that we have in Congress now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just old and taking up space.
I agree.
And I think we would really benefit from a young, charismatic person running this country.
American politics just needs a facelift.
Yeah,
right. Like
it does.
The Feinsteins, the Fettermans, the McConnells, the Pelosi's, the Bidens. The career hack politicians, the families, the swamp, all the age. I mean, there was. I think I still have it somewhere in my work bag. There are 19 individuals in government that are over 80 years old. I should actually pull that story up and rattle off the names. See how many of them even resonate with us. But that's too many.
It is.
But I think you've got it backwards. I think don't say that the politicians and the candidates need a facelift. Why not make it a real job? A lot of these people, how many days do they actually work? Why don't we see any other profession go into their job well into their 80s? Why is that? You know why? Because other jobs are actually a job where you actually have to work, and it's tough. These individuals claim that they're going home and serving their constituents. No, they're not.
Yep. I mean, I think you could argue if you look at politics and you say, well, give me the opposite. There are two lines of work that are totally what have you done for me lately and all based off of merit. That's radio, because when you start to not perform, they get rid of you. And professional sports. They're paid mercenaries. You're only as good as what you're giving me now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look at these individuals that we've talked about them making, whether it's at the state level, at the city level, county level, or especially we're talking about Congress and the executive branch. These individuals are making a ton of money, well over, you talked about what's the median salary of the average American. These folks are making what, 160, for Congress, right? It's 179, but that's just the baseline.
Right.
Look at how wealthy they get. Look at the perks of the job, better health care than all of us. They get basically a bonus in the sense of even after office.
They are in the financial.
Get the pension.
Yeah, they are in the financial 1% before they roll out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. Think about that. And so why do we allow that as Americans? Why don't we say, no, this has to be a job. We want you to work. And you know what? If you want to fundraise and you want to campaign, do that on your own time on the weekend. But Monday through Friday, you're going to work like the rest of us. And you're not going to Zoom. No more of this. Oh, we're going home for a 10-week recess to meet with our constituents. Baloney. You got to work.
By the way, streaming live right now on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please hit the like button. I'm going to get to 200 likes now. I'm getting very selfish. Nick Kayal.
Yes.
Let's talk about So hit the like button if you're watching right now.
Do it.
Let's talk about Hawaii and the devastation for Maui. The death toll keeps rising. By the way, why are we seeing this disparity of numbers? Like I was reading one where it was like 100, and then I saw another account that said like almost 500.
Yeah.
Like, why is there such disparity in the reporting on this?
It's
because of how many people are missing.
Yeah.
And presumed dead.
I get you.
Right.
I get you.
And they have the cadaver dogs, the canines, and then they have the DNA provided by family members.
Yeah.
And so they're going through and trying to match DNA.
Right. But we've even had this on a much smaller scale with the flooding of the water up in it was Bucks County where the mom and the newborn.
Yeah.
Like, what is there an official date where they say, okay, we're going to stop the search and just presume the worst and then put you down as a casualty? Do they do that? Because it feels
a good
like
question. I don't know.
Yeah.
There is a stage when they go from rescue to recovery.
Yeah.
But then there's a stage where, for example, it depends on, because a lot of them missing in Hawaii, like you're mentioning the Washington Crossing situation with that tragic flooding. At what point do you say you're searching for a 9-month-old baby and where their body could have traveled and it could have been swept away?
Right.
So I think they exhaust every last opportunity, but then at some point, I think the science tells them we're never going to actually find the body.
Yeah. Sad.
It's so tragic.
Tim H on the YouTube chat says, "Love the show. Stop watching TV, but watch or listen to the show. You guys rock, especially Dawn."
How about that?
Thank you.
Dawn getting some praise and people saying we should just listen to this show and stop listening to watching TV.
Somebody else also asked, "Why is there a giant picture of Rich Zeoli behind me?" I don't know.
Could we get you know what we really should do? We should get a new cardboard cutout head of Fetterman with the glasses and the mustache.
Here, I'll
The
put this out here.
the Fetterman makeover.
You need the Fetter makeover.
Yeah, the Fetter makeover. How does that look? There we go.
That looks great.
There we go.
Get that carved out spot on Rich's head there where you can place the microphone above the ear. It's like a holster.
To raise it up a little bit here.
You should put a bag over your head plus Zeoli.
No, I'm not. Last time I did that, I got pink eye. So we're hearing a lot about climate change with these wildfires. But did you also know that there's the human error that happened with the response of this is also caused by climate change?
Oh, I thought it was due to racism, but okay.
No, this is cut 8, Daniel.
Okay.
Just to be clear, when you're talking about global warming, are you saying that climate change amplified the cost of human error?
Yes, it did. There's always going to be incredible things that people do to save lives, from the firefighters, from citizens, and there's always going to be decisions that are made that I'm sure aren't perfect in the moment.
So the decisions that were made or lack thereof were from climate change.
Well, what they fail to mention is that climate alarmism is a very profitable business, and there's a lot of money to be made when you sell fear over climate. But for all the climate change people out there, the ones that are always hitting the absolute panic button, I'm just wondering, is climate change a thing when we have a stretch in August where it's 79 degrees? It only seems like climate change is an issue when we have flooding.
There is
or
a definition.
fires.
There is a definition between climate, or there is a difference between climate and weather.
No,
so that's like
all right.
we can't take one weather stretch and say, well,
No, I know. Hey, look,
but
I'm
on
not-
the
I'm
other
not-
side, you can't say, well, it's hot, so
Right.
therefore it's climate change.
I'm not sitting here saying that climate change isn't a thing. I just think it's overly exaggerated, much like the fear-mongering with masks and COVID and everything else.
Yeah.
When there's money to be... Fear sells. Never forget that, folks. Fear is profitable.
Biden FEMA Administrator Deanna Criswell was on CNN's State of the Union yesterday morning talking about Biden refusing to speak on Maui or not taking questions about it. And she said that it was no big deal because they were in constant contact, cut 9.
The president has faced some criticism from Republicans because he spent about 5 days
not talking about this as many of the devastating images and numbers were coming. Do you think the Republican criticism of the president's willingness to talk about this in public or lack thereof is fair criticism?
You know, what I can tell you is the president directed me to go to Maui to assess the damage, meet with the governor, meet with the local officials, you know, giving me the opportunity in this space to make sure that I can understand what's going on, and then I report back to the president. I was in complete communication with him throughout this event.
There you go.
Okay, so communication has been ongoing. It's complete. Joe has now deemed it the right time to go over there, and he won't get in the way, and he'll swing by California along the way. I love how State of the Union, by the way, is the name of that show on CNN. I feel like that's overkill. The State of the Union is something you get on an annual basis, not on a weekly Sunday basis. And also, by the way, another CNN female anchor that just looks like she hates the world. Dawn, none of them smile. None of them are ever happy. It's really, I mean, I know we've talked about the differences in the networks. CNN just looks for the miserable lady. Fox looks for the beautiful blonde that smiles and laughs.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, the beautiful blonde like Shannon Bream, most of them have a law degree.
Yeah.
By the way, right. And so they're not just eye candy. We're not saying that at all. But I think I'm just being real here.
Vivek's got a law degree.
Yeah.
Ron's got one. Sonny Hostin's got a law degree.
But Fox,
I don't.
But well, none of us do, for
Right.
the record. But I think, to your point, some networks have a higher energy, and CNN is just low energy.
Yeah. It's the Jeb Bush of networks.
Well, I think Jeb Bush is positive energy. I don't think he's low energy.
Getting back to the disparity in the death toll, there are potentially 1,000 people who have perished in the Maui wildfires. How can we not know more about this many days out? This is cut 11.
You say that we have to ask the Hawaii officials for the count, but you also say that you are working with them. I think it's hard for people to understand, you know, there are potentially 1,000 people who have perished in this fire. How can we not know more about this many days out?
Yeah, again, we take all of our numbers from the local officials, and we are supporting them with our teams to help better understand. And I think the unaccounted piece is just making sure that we're accounting for everybody that was reported as missing. And it could be that they are staying with family and friends, and we haven't been able to contact them yet. There's a lot of different reasons on why people are unaccounted for.
You know, I feel really bad for those in Hawaii, especially those that vote Democrat, that have been talking in the media or posting things on social media, asking where the help is, asking where Joe Biden is. Why have we been, left, to die? We've been abandoned. And this is a kind of a common theme of America Last with this administration. Ukraine gets all the funding and aid they need. East Palestine gets ignored. Maui gets Joe 13 days after the fact. This is just a maddening thing where it's like, you think we're the United States of America. We should be able to handle all of this, quick response time, fast reactions, and it's anything but that.
I think I'm going to save the rest for 9:40.
Okay.
So we can get to Dawn here.
I'm going to save everything else I have for 9:40 as well.
Okay.
How about that? All right, that'll do it for What's on the Cut Sheet Part 1, 8:30 on this Monday morning. Let's get to Dawn Stensland's Big 3 at 8.
It's the Big 3 at 8 on Kayal & Company.
Big 3 at 8, sponsored by Piazza Auto Group today as we heat up to 92 degrees this afternoon. So, number one, I'll talk about, and these are other headlines of the day, mosquitoes and malaria in America. Yes, another case of locally acquired malaria in the United States, this time on the East Coast in Maryland. First time this has happened in the state in 40 years. So there's no evidence which connects this case to 7 locally acquired infections in Florida or another one in Texas, as reported by the CDC. What is significant here is that malaria, which is a mosquito-borne illness, is very rare in the USA and considered eliminated nationally by 1951. So in all of these cases that we're talking about, none of these individuals, and especially this person from Maryland, had traveled outside the country. They are confident that this was acquired from a mosquito.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
Another reason to stay inside now.
Mosquito-borne illness.
If the new variant doesn't get you, the mosquitoes will.
Yeah, this is true.
Get your bug spray, folks.
Yes. I mean, this is I should also bring up that today, something that we talked about last week, debuting, that's making national headlines, and that is today in Philadelphia. It's the first time that at the MLB Park, Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies game, you can enter the stadium via your facial recognition.
So that we talked about that story last week.
Yes.
I think a lot of people brought it up, and there were some people responding saying that this is not that big of a deal, that it's quick, it's convenient. But my counter to that is all of these things that are labeled as quick and convenient also lead to more control and really surveillance of us in many ways, right?
Well, that's the question. Now, they say that if you upload your selfie and you go through this lane, that they're not going to store or share your face.
Okay. Just your personal information?
Can
Can I duck go myself through the Phillies entrance?
Yeah. I mean, we've given up a lot of freedoms and autonomy for convenience.
That's correct.
I mean, think about the fact that you can get anything you want delivered to your door.
The smartphone itself.
Yeah.
It's our computer. It's our lifeline of communication. It can also listen to us at every single moment.
Yeah, so you just have to, what's more important to you? Is convenience more important to you, or is privacy? I think that's the question a lot of people deal with. And I think the majority of people take convenience over privacy, because
That's correct.
So something like this is a no-brainer for a lot of people.
Some
I don't
people are sheep, other people are just lazy.
Well, I don't know if it's that. I think it's more of just like, oh, cool, I can walk in without having to get my phone out or get a ticket out or something. It's easy.
That's correct.
So we begin this series, obviously, today, San Francisco Giants, and we're still ahead, right, in the wild card.
Yeah.
So that's good.
They're gonna be a playoff team. I'm not concerned about that.
Well, the Giants are nipping at their heels for the playoff. I think they're 2 back.
That's
in
correct.
The playoff. So in the playoff hunt.
So you can go
Gabe
hands.
Kapler's
You can go hands free, but I will point out you must be 18 years old or older. They're not doing this for children, thinking that as a child you can't really give your consent.
That's true.
So think about that one. But you can. I guess they can do other things to kids under 18.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking.
Oh,
All right. A fun story. I was looking for something because we had so much depressing, sad news about Philadelphia with the 9 people shot over the weekend, and 17-year-old girl just early this morning. She's in very critical condition. So I'm looking. Is there something that we can all rally around as something positive? And that is yes. You can vote for Jackson. So Jackson is a Pennsylvania canine, an explosive detection dog, a semifinalist in the American Humane Hero Dog Awards.
Oh, he's a good boy, Jackson.
Oh, and he's one of 5 semifinalists.
Wow.
He just wants a crown of chicken. So the public can vote through this Thursday, August 24th, for Jackson to win. So it's the Carlisle Police Department, but it's the only Pennsylvania dog that I think is in this competition.
Yeah.
And so it's a pretty cool thing, and reminds us to thank those who protect and serve. And
I've always loved the dog with the police officer.
Yeah,
I mean, their
the
ability to
canines.
sniff out drugs and firearms and anything else is amazing. Every dog I've ever had can barely sniff out his own you-know-what. People look at me like, I didn't do that. It was you.
So vote for Jackson up
Right.
until Thursday. Vote and vote often, as we say here in Philadelphia. All right. The Piazza Auto Group sponsors our Big 3 this hour. Get complimentary 2-year maintenance with the purchase of any new 2023 Acura like the Integra, TLX, or MDX. Visit Piazza Acura in Ardmore, Reading, and Westchester, or you can always shop online, piazzaacura.com, Piazza, piazzaacura.com. This is Kayal and Company Big 3.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. Coming up next, Queen gets canceled.
What?
Yes, that story on the other side as we continue. Kayal and Company, Nick, Dawn, and Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It's hard to believe. Oh, wait, hang on. Where are we? There we go. It's hard to believe that we are 2.5 weeks out from week 1 of the NFL season. Your Philadelphia Eagles start week 1 at New England. Right now, it looks like the Eagles, excuse me, the Phillies on the brain. The Eagles are a 4.5-point favorite for that game, 2.5 weeks in. So if you haven't done so yet, go to FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel.com/Greg and sign up right now. FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with the Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Any $5 bet, your first bet, $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, the NFL season is the best time to do it. Get in on the action right now. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props, over-unders, so much more. FanDuel.com/Greg and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL and is also the official partner of 1210 WPHT, so you know you're in good hands. 21 and over, present in PA. First online real money wager, only $10 deposit. First deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me talk with you about my friend, board-certified prosthodontist, my dentist, Dr. Robert Bentz of Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. Dr. Bentz is nationally, locally recognized as one of the area's top prosthodontists. I stopped in to see him, showed me his 3D printer. We've talked about this before, but they have incorporated it so much in their practice. It really helps him expand his patient solutions, specialize in new ways to help you achieve your oral goals, makes it so convenient. We've talked about in one sitting and all the rest of it, some of the stuff he can do. Now more than ever, too. Local dentists, they refer their patients to him for more complex cases. He loves to be a problem solver. Call Dr. Bentz at 610-272-6949. Make that appointment today. He's my dentist, my good friend. He's at your service to get your dental health back on track. Call him with any questions or make an appointment. 610-272-6949.
Hi everyone, this is Stephanie Kelly from Emmons Roofing and Siding, and I have some exciting news to share. Emmons has partnered with SunPower, the top-rated home solar company in New Jersey. SunPower has been leading the solar industry for over 37 years and is the only U.S. solar company that's lasted longer than their 25-year warranty. Kill the bill. The energy bill, that is. Imagine no more high energy bills, while all the while helping reduce your carbon footprint at no cost to you. It's a win-win. Yes, we now offer solar, but remember, if you need a new roof, siding, doors, windows, or interior remodeling, don't wait. Right now, Emmons is offering all 1210 listeners 10% off roofing, siding, and Anderson windows. And we are continuing to offer 12-month same-as cash financing. And don't forget that lifetime warranty on your roof. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 856-885-6677, emmonsroofing.com. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, kitchens, baths, and solar. Trust Emmons to be your first and last stop for all your home improvement needs. emmonsroofing.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Southern California pounded by the area's first tropical storm in over 80 years, with some requiring rescue from torrential rain and intense wind. Philadelphia orchestra musicians have voted to authorize a strike, and Olga Carmona, Spain's World Cup hero and the lone goal scorer in Sunday's final, learned shortly after the match her father had died.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio, now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more. This wasn't how Patrick pictured himself in retirement. Instead of playing golf every day, he could barely walk because of his severe knee pain.
It hampered everything because it hurt to walk around the golf course. It hurt to swing, just pretty much hurt doing anything.
But the groundbreaking regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics changed everything for Patrick. QC Kinetics uses your body's own healing properties to help repair and restore damaged tissue in your knees, hips, back, and shoulders. No surgery, no drugs, no downtime.
The turnaround's been amazing from where I was to where I am now. I've gone from a 15 handicap down to a 7 handicap. That's because my knees allow me to play golf like I haven't been able to play probably in 15 years.
Don't let joint pain keep you from doing what you love. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. That's 215-999-3000. 215-999-3000.
Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
8:41. Welcome back in. Kayal and Company live here on a Monday morning. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. 855-839-1210. The segment brought to you by Piazza Auto Group. Shop the entire Mazda crossover and SUVs lineup at Piazza Mazda of Westchester and Reading. The 2023 Mazda CX-5, CX-9, CX-30, and CX-50 are available for immediate delivery. Find yours at piazzamazda.com. We have all sorts of Gen Z cancellation stories to get to coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, as well as a couple of stories where the men in society are acting out of line. We will put them in place as well. And also a Riley Gaines and Enos Cantor story in the world of trans competition. But before we get to all of that, let me start with this story about Queen. This is, I don't understand the revisionist history and going back in time and taking away stuff from the 80s or the 70s or the 50s or the 1920s. But this is an exclusive from the Daily Mail, one of the sites that we like to find some of our stories from. And it says, "We will woke you." Not rock you, but woke you.
Yeah.
Florida is where woke goes to die.
Well, the Daily Mail's got this one. A classic Queen song, Fat Bottomed Girls, is mysteriously dropped from the group's new greatest hits collection. And I'm not sure.
Come on.
Come on,
Everybody, rock out.
Sing it, Chris Christie.
Oh, no.
Sloppy Chris Christie.
Come on, Lizzo.
Isn't this like an anthem to
Oh, God, it's great.
chicks with big butts?
Yes. Fat Bottom Girls dropped from the group's greatest hits collection. The 1978 track has been enjoyed by generations of fans. It is Queen's one of their most beloved songs, but it's been mysteriously dropped. The 1978 track, which was written by guitarist Brian May, has been enjoyed by generations of fans as a humorous and hard-rocking tribute to a young man's appreciation of fuller-figured ladies.
I can't believe that they've canceled this song.
But 45 years later, it appears that lyrics such as "Left alone with big fat Fanny, she was such a naughty nanny, big woman, you made a bad boy out of me," and "Fat Bottom Girls, you make the rockin' world go round" have been hit by the woke cancel culture. So we've gone from big fat Fanny to we'll probably start talking about dudes dressed as trannies. Okay.
I don't think you can say that, by the way.
I know.
That word has been canceled as well.
Everything's canceled. Except this show.
There's nothing about this song that's offensive.
But think about all of the amount of different hits. I mean, and Queen's an all-time legendary performer.
Absolutely.
But you've got Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
They just did that movie, I think, 10 years ago. Don't Stop Me Now. My all-time favorite, it's cliche, but I love We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
It used to be like a football pump-up song for kids in the 80s and 90s. Fat Bottom Girls, gone.
So they're not giving an official reason.
No.
They're just saying that
But it's dropped from their greatest hits collection. So it doesn't feel to me like this was, hey, Spotify's getting rid of it or Apple iTunes podcasts. I feel like this is like a first-hand account of canceling yourself or the estate. I mean, this song that we're playing, we might get flagged on YouTube for playing this today. So if you try to get the show later on YouTube and you can't find it, odds are that this song triggered something, and we had to bring it down and put it back up.
Look, if you're going to include, if it's going to be a Queen's greatest hits, and by the way, can we stop with these greatest hits? Like, stop.
Yes.
It's just, it's a cash grab for a lot of these bands.
Yeah.
You have to include this song. I mean, it's one of their most popular songs.
I'm actually going to pull up my Spotify account and see if I can even pull up that song in the search and see if it shows up or if it's been yanked down there.
Yeah.
Queen Fit. Nope, there it is. It's still sitting there in Spotify. So
No, this doesn't sound like a Spotify, Apple thing.
Right.
This sounds like a thing from Queen's management or whatever, the band members, saying we don't want to include that song anymore.
I think maybe they're doing a reverse psychology thing. Because look at everybody's playing it today.
Oh.
Wow.
Well,
Look
we
at that.
do know, like, you try to cancel a song,
Right.
it becomes number one. Jason
Yep.
Aldean.
Yeah.
There's
Anthony
another,
Oliver.
Yeah, the guy that we played for
Yeah.
you last week.
Yeah. By the way, I was driving when I was coming in this morning. There was a motorcycle behind me, and as I got out, he was blasting something on his thing, and it was that Oliver Anthony song.
I love it.
I will say, I do like it how with these modern bikes, you can play a lot of different music.
Yeah.
Like Valdez has, like, on his little scooter, he's got one
His scooter.
that plays like music in his helmet.
Daniel, what do you have there?
I think that's what he has.
You have something that can play in your helmet?
Yeah, it's a Bluetooth device, so it has
Cool.
speakers in it, but I can also connect a microphone to it, so if I need a phone call or something, I can have
Wow.
it going through my helmet.
And that runs through your phone, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's Bluetooth with my phone, so anything goes from my phone just goes to my
So you got a microphone in there as well. So you could do like the Valdez scooter cam for
yeah,
Kayal
I
and
also
Company.
have a GoPro on there, so I could put a GoPro on my, or put a mic on my GoPro
It's
and
got
then
a GoPro
do like a
on
little vlog. But I think that's weird, so I
Right.
won't do that. But I also don't have the mic because
You could also play Xbox in there and PS5. Very interesting. All right, so yeah. Queen.
Jose on the chat says, we love chubbies because they are the most grateful to our attention.
Aw.
Long live fat bottom girls.
Oh, fat bottom girls, apple bottom jeans. There's a whole bit going on here.
Right. And by the way, if you identify as a fat bottom girl, no matter what, it's
Well,
still
can you
plays in.
can you identify as a fat bottom girl if you're skinny?
Sure.
Stay on brand, right? You can
Sure.
ID with anything you want.
If you're a guy or a gal or whatever you're born as, nowadays you can identify as that. So what's the big deal?
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Right?
Yep. I'm trying to think of all the other things that have been canceled over these years now. It's not a movie. It's a statue.
Well, I mean,
it's
this
a song.
isn't. Look, there's Guns N' Roses released a greatest hits package, and one of the songs that they deemed inappropriate was not included on it. Dire Straits has that song "Money for Nothing." There was an entire line where they used the F word for gay people like 3 times. That whole part of that song has been taken out of the song. So bands are doing this. Bands are going back and saying, hey, you know what may have played well in 1983 or whatever, doesn't play so well now, so we're taking it out.
It's interesting what plays well now versus what doesn't.
Agreed.
As opposed to other genres of music where you hear certain phrases or words and it's just accepted. Well, it's just part of the pop culture phenomenon. It's just part of our vernacular. Well, so fat-bottomed girls, I mean, if you want to say the F word for people's sexual thing that you were just talking about, if you want to eliminate that, okay, I got it. I mean, there are some words where it's like, yeah, you probably shouldn't say that. But now, like, saying fat is an issue?
And they can make it PHAT,
Well,
like
that's-
you're in Philadelphia.
That's true.
Somebody brought up on the chat, too, like, dude looks like a lady. We played that last week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another...
Oh, that's next on the list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Prominently played in Mrs. Doubtfire, that movie, by the way. Song. Dude looks like a lady. Robin Williams. God rest his soul. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. Speaking of cancellations, I've got 2 stories on Gen Z as we wrap up the hour here. One in which I am absolutely okay with. One of which I don't keep up with. I don't understand, but it's a Gen Z world, I guess, so they're calling the shots. We'll start with that one. So this is like right up the Valdez Dorenzo alley. Gen Z cancels LOL, as in laugh out loud, in favor of new acronym IJBOL. Yes, that is correct. Instead of LOL, you might now, if you text your son, your daughter, your niece, your nephew, something funny, and they found it humorous, they might hit you back with an idgeball. I just burst out laughing. I don't know if, Dawn, if your sons are on that yet, but we've had things like LMAO, laughing my ASS off. We've had ROFL, rolling on the floor laughing. We've had LOL, laugh out loud. And now we have IJBOL. I just burst out laughing, which I never IJBOL when I get a text from Valdez or Dorenzo because I'm trying to decipher what they're saying because everything is shorthand and short form. But IJBOL is the new theme for Gen Z.
Yeah, because LOL for a long time is just not cool.
Well, and it is very much overused.
Yeah.
I mean, you ever text a buddy and they just want to hit you back and like say they've acknowledged what you said and they just say LOL? It's like, were you really laughing out loud? Were you in a quiet setting? Were you in a library and then all of a sudden you just bursted out laughing? Probably not. But if you do burst out laughing, IJBOL is the way to go. So that's from Gen Z. Now, here's one last one that I can absolutely get behind. And I can't relate to this, although Valdez, maybe his girlfriend can. Gen Z is now ditching bras.
What?
In the latest viral trend. That's right. That's right.
I mean, I can get behind that, I guess.
This is the first thing Gen Z's ever done that I'm sitting on and saying, I'm like, you know what? I'm completely on board with this. This one from the New York Post. Gen Z women are embracing going braless, and the freeing move has taken the internet by storm. The hashtag #NoBra, B-R-A, has over 600 million tags on social media platform TikTok, where mental illnesses thrive, and women are sharing their outfits and looks without any underwire in sight. Not underwear, underwire. Being braless has become such a thing that the hashtag #NoBra challenge is going viral on the platform and has over 9 million views. They say it sounds sexy, but it mainly just involves women sharing what they look like in fun outfits while not wearing a bra. And the trend seems to help normalize different breast shapes. One creator went viral by sharing that she would attempt to go braless for the whole week. Now, I don't know if she works remotely from home. You can go braless. In the workplace, I don't know if you could pull that off. If you see it, if you say anything, you might get fired if you're a man, sexual harassment, HR. I'm a guy that loves to be, I'm a minimalist. I wear flip-flops. I wear a T-shirt. I wear just basic shorts. I don't want to be all bundled up and tightly woven and restrained. Dudes, I feel like dudes started this years ago with getting away from tighty-whities and going to boxers. And then it was boxer briefs. Now you've got compression shorts. Sometimes dudes go completely commando. Gen Z ditching bras. I'm not sure if Valdez or Dorenzo have any thoughts on this, if this really is a thing, but I have no complaints with it whatsoever.
Now, because your daughters are...
Oh, boy. I knew you were going I didn't know where you were going to go, but I knew you'd have something.
Yeah, you don't mind now, but give it just a few years. And you're going to mind greatly. Trust me.
But, the bra also accentuates certain things, right? A little extra lift, a little push-up. So I could sit there and say that I'm anti-bra from that standpoint in hopes of my daughters being less, sized up, so to speak, by the opposite sex. Am I wrong there?
No, I just think, there's a practical side to it. And I understand the underwire because it's more uncomfortable. But I think for most girls and women, it's an issue of, especially your girls do competitive dance, whether you do sports or whatever. If you're bouncing all over the place, it hurts, and it's also not good because it makes things get saggy over the years.
Yeah.
If you're not holding it up there.
Yeah.
You're messing with the elasticity situation.
I mean, Nick, bringing it back to underwear for guys, you could also make that, if you're going commando or wearing loose-fitting things, you want to keep your boys, from hanging freely.
Yeah, you got to keep your troops in a bunch.
Exactly.
Because the sag...
Tight formation.
Right, and sagging leads to more sagging.
My goodness.
So, I'm trying to be correct here.
Well, let's ask the two Gen Z kids here.
What do the youths got?
I'm a millennial, first of all.
Say what?
I'm a millennial, first of all. We always talk about this. You act like you're not one, but we're both
You're
millennials.
Right. Well, I figure if skinny people can ID as fat and guys can ID as girls, I can identify as a Gen Xer. Right?
Well, regardless, this is definitely, it's for sure a trend. I feel like women don't wear normal bras anymore in our age range. They wear either a sports bra or no bra.
Really?
Sports bra or no bra?
Yeah, like a Lululemon or
Here we go with
Athleta or,
the
anything like that kind of thing. Or they're just wearing, a nice outfit with, who knows, sometimes something, but not a lot, usually.
What does a Lululemon sports bra go for?
I don't know, like $60 at least.
For one?
If not more.
Bras are expensive.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
Good ones.
Okay, so like if you go, where's the value shopping for bras? Is that like Target or Walmart?
I would say maybe like Aerie.
How did you know?
Is that where you get yours?
Affordable brand they have.
I was asking Dawn. He's like, well, I've seen a few over it.
Do you go bra shopping with Mary?
I mean, I go to the mall with her, so I know where she goes.
Hey, there are some
weird. Wait. Daniel, what'd you say, buddy?
Bella takes me bra shopping.
Turn your mic up a little bit, can you
no.
please? My lord, this is radio.
Is that better?
Thank you.
Look at see, they're both good boyfriends. They go bra shopping.
Yeah, good boyfriends, or are they whipped? P-whipped.
Well, some women like it when their men buy them lingerie.
Is that what's happening here?
I don't know if that's what's happening, but
Hey, sometimes I just like being teased with the bra,
Right.
Ooh.
And sometimes men are very uneasy in those settings shopping for bras. Episode of Married with Children.
Crafting with Shirley on the YouTube chat says, hey, guys, this is not new. This was done in the 60s. Read your history.
Yep.
Yeah, the burning of the bras. with the
Everything comes
feminists.
back around full circle,
well,
right?
That was my question about this, and we have to break in 1 minute.
Yep.
But that was my question about this. Is this a feminist thing? Like I'm freeing myself of the bra.
Mm-hmm. Could very well be. Did they do that in the Barbie movie?
No, I don't think it's what happened in the 60s where bras have come a long way, baby. So they were much more restrictive back in the day. This is not bra burning. I think this is bras evolving.
Mm-hmm.
And now, to Anthony's point, they're going to a sports bra, which kind of mushes things down sometimes, or some kind of a top that's more supportive.
Very interesting. 855-839-1210. Big final hour on the way. We've got Dawn's Big Three, the morning mystery movie clip. We've got Reading Phillies tickets to give away this week, which is very interesting. We will also get to 2 stories involving men when it comes to Botox, as well as men shaming women in one category. But we got to get to this chess trans ban. That's coming up next. But right now, Dawn Stenzelin with a word for QC Kinetics.
Yeah, because you got to take care of yourself. And if you're suffering still with that knee pain, it's getting worse, or the shoulder or hip pain, your back pain, you gotta take my advice. Just call QC Kinetics. Call them right now. Don't let anybody tell you that steroids or surgery are your only options, because they are not. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away, and this is all thanks to all natural, advanced, regenerative medicine. And they're helping people at QC Kinetics. They're helping them here in the Philadelphia region every single day. These are amazing, all-natural treatments which restore and repair your damaged joint tissue. So regenerative medicine actually uses concentrated healing agents from your own body, which stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so that they work like they're supposed to, like they used to. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough, and patients are getting real, lasting relief. And they're saying no to surgery, saying no to drugs, and saying no to any downtime. So if you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option. You need to just check it out. The consultation's free. Just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000, 215-999-3000. QC Kinetics. Just call them, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Volvo Finance, in concert with Cherry Hill Volvo, is offering lease and cash bonuses up to $2,500. Purchase or lease a new XC40 or XC90 through Volvo Finance and through Cherry Hill Volvo, and receive this additional bonus along with the aggressive pricing already posted on our Cherry Hill Volvo website. This is a special offer, and it is not to be missed. Volvo Finance and Cherry Hill Volvo and you, a perfect partnership.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Comedian Joe Conklin.
Chip Snapper's trying to figure it all out. Let's talk to him. Hello, Chip.
You can always tell the kids from Kensington on the beach in Wildwood. They build them sandcastles and then they board them up with popsicle sticks.
Hire Joe Conklin for corporate events.
We hired Joe for our sales meeting, and he was hilarious. He had everyone cracking up laughing.
Pick your next event up a notch. Hire comedian Joe Conklin. Go to joeconklin.com.
JoeConklin.com.
Hey, neighbor, what you doing?
Just getting the groundwork done to put up my new fence.
Oh, cool. Did you contact Pennsylvania One call system to check the underground utilities first?
Nah, there's nothing but dirt back here. Oh, no.
Whoa, I think that's a water main. Yeah, well, you said you always wanted a pool. All joking aside, you should call Pennsylvania One call.
You're right. I'm going to call Pennsylvania One call. But first, cannonball!
Know what's below. Contact 811 before you dig or visit pa1call.org to submit a locate request to have underground utilities marked.
Wells Fargo gives you access to direct deposit funds up to 2 days early.
Plus, if you look at the X and Y axes...
What if everything came 2 days early? Like the weekend.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise.
You can't get everything early, but when it comes to direct deposits, you can with Wells Fargo.
Visit wellsfargo.com/getearly to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. Not all direct deposits are eligible. Early availability is not guaranteed and may vary between deposits from the same payer. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Your official home for Penn State football and basketball is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app. Listen to every Nittany Lions game on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing. Together, millions of things for our planet. Improve your gas mileage by properly inflating tires and taking your car in for a tune-up. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
1 in 4 car batteries is weak and needs to be replaced. Let the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts test your battery for free. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
Do you really want to take shots the rest of your life just to lose weight? NJ Diet's typical results are twice as fast as weight loss injections without any of the side effects. Plus, you'll learn proper portion control and develop healthy eating habits. With NJ Diet's 40-day program, you will lose 20 to 40-plus pounds contractually guaranteed. Lose weight quickly the healthy and natural way. Call 855-5NJ-DIET or schedule your consult today at njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com. That's njdiet.com.
Hey, Riverton. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company, it is 9:04. Welcome back in Monday morning. Nick, Dawn, and Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We will not cancel out LOLs. We do not oppose ditching bras. And we've got a great prize coming up in 15 minutes for our morning mystery movie clip. Your chance to get a pair of Reading Phillies tickets, actually a 4-pack, as they take on the New Hampshire Fisher Cats on Sunday, September 3rd, First Energy Stadium in Reading. So that is coming up in just about 15 minutes. Also, we will get to this story with Botox for guys, a boyfriend who's constantly shaming a lady over something that is kind of funny. And then also this international chess trans ban for women competition. That's coming up as well. But the big story of the day, the big take this morning was kind of setting up the Republican primary, the debate coming up on Wednesday. As you know, a lot of people say the road and the march to the White House begins Wednesday in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You're going to have two different things going on Wednesday night. You're going to have the Fox GOP primary on Fox News, which will feature Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Doug Burgum, on down the list. You're going to have 8 individuals that have qualified. And then, of course, the big elephant in the room, which will not actually be in the room, so there will be oxygen, although he might take it traveling with him to see Tucker Carlson. Donald Trump announcing Friday afternoon that he will join the former Fox News host and hold his own little conversation with Tucker, which is interesting because then we started wondering, okay, who can have the breakout performance and capitalize, seize the moment and take advantage of this with Trump not being there on Wednesday? And then Trump says this on Truth last night. New CBS poll just out has me leading the field by legendary numbers. Trump 62%, 46 points above DeSanctimonious, who is crashing like an ailing bird. Ramaswamy 7%, Pence 5%, Scott 3%, Haley 2%, Sloppy Chris Christie at 2%, and then he says Ada, A-I-D-A, Hutchinson, 1%. The public knows who I am and what a successful presidency I had. With energy independence, strong borders and military, biggest ever tax and regulation cuts, no inflation, strongest economy in history, and much more. I will therefore not be doing the debates in all capital letters. But he says that plural. I will not be doing the debates. So it makes you wonder if, in fact, when or if he will ever get involved in the debates. And then, of course, talking about the opportunity for all of these individuals, who's going to be the one that steals the headlines? What are we talking about Thursday morning? Because Trump could easily steal that with Tucker Carlson on Twitter. But then there's also this other opportunity for all of these individuals in what I believe could very well be a very lasting first impression. I think it's do or die for Ron DeSantis. I think this is a moment where Vivek can continue to move up and keep his ascension rising. Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, how do they cut through? Chris Christie, does he have any other repertoire beyond just Trump bashing? That's why he's a media darling. That's why the mainstream gives him the platform, because he goes after Trump. But what's he going to do to go after Democrats? How's he going to beat Joe Biden? How's he going to handle China and Russia, the economy, the border, inflation, everything? Not just saying that Donald Trump's going to be out on bail in four different jurisdictions, like he said before. And I think one of the biggest headlines, and you heard it a little bit in the cut sheet this morning with the clip we played of Ron DeSantis, is that DeSantis will start to elevate his attacks on Trump in the first GOP debate. But the question will be, is it too late? And then, of course, also, you have the juggling act for all of us on the show, but also you in the audience listening and watching the show. Do you watch Fox Live? Do you DVR it? Do you stream Tucker and Trump on Twitter? Do you mute this and go back to that? I think, and thank God we're going to be on vacation the following week, because Thursday morning I'm going to be really tired. The big take might not be typed up until 11 o'clock at night, which is a very rare thing. So I think there's a lot of interesting components to Wednesday. I know it's not be all end all for everybody. You've got vacations, summer, people traveling, back to school, the whole bit. But I think we are going to be setting up for a fascinating stretch run. And that's just on one side of the spectrum. You still have the other things going on with Joe, the investigations, his health. Of course, RFK Jr. Is Gavin Newsom laying in the weeds? And speaking of laying in the weeds, you have Glenn Youngkin now, which is really fascinating. Rupert Murdoch, I mean, Dawn, you said in the first hour, hey, GOP, get it together. And what would be your plan B? Well, Rupert Murdoch, his plan B was DeSantis. He's now gone to plan C with Glenn Youngkin, who all of a sudden 25-1. He's not a total long shot like some other people at 80-1, like Mike Pence.
Yeah, it's so true. And Glenn Youngkin is somebody who is seen as very popular in Virginia. He won on the issue that we're facing here in Pennsylvania, which is at the school board level. We have school board elections coming up in Bucks and Chester. And so I do feel that Glenn Youngkin is a popular governor and could be popular. I just don't know if he's somebody who's willing, because he loves Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
He has said, no, I'm gonna stay the course. I'm gonna remain governor of Virginia. The thought is, would he go for 2028? But it's got to be flattering. He came out and said, right, yeah, I'm flattered by all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep coming after you and they keep saying, hey, look, you're actually doing a favor to the American people and to Trump, because look at this. They're coming after him with a double barrel, right?
That's true.
And so you're actually saving the party and saving Trump if you do jump in as a second option. But I don't know. Will anybody else be able to gain traction? That's just it. Who can?
Funny you brought up the school issues with Virginia, because I'm thinking about here with Bucks County and all the stuff that goes on in Chester. And then, I'm not going to say that it originated in Virginia, but how many times have we had some of these school stories from Virginia? Was it Loudoun County, I believe? If I recall correctly, they are very much like Bucks County from the standpoint of what it used to be to what it's trending and to what it's becoming. Which you do, like all of a sudden you have, like you have mentioned, suburban moms, and it's like, oh, they're now considered to be moms for liberty, or they're radical extreme moms, and it's just this never ending. But again, you have made this point with DeSantis in Florida when it comes to fighting the schools and the parents. The culture wars and the school vouchers and some of that stuff. That's got its own little place. It's one of, if you're throwing a bag together full of politics, that's got to be one of the items in the bag, but it can't be your full bag. And I think for some reason that was kind of DeSantis's claim to fame along with Disney. And then, of course, you throw in Youngkin in Virginia and some of our politicians here in Pennsylvania. It's a piece to the puzzle, but I'm not sure it needs to be bigger than any other piece. They got to be like 8. It's like a pizza. We're going to cut it into 8 slices evenly, and you got to be good in that area, but it can't be your whole package.
Yeah, well said. I just think the GOP has been quietly in the fundraisers and the Murdochs of the world and the Axios, those so-called consultants, very powerful. I think that they're struggling to find anybody else who could gain traction, who could be the backup.
Yep.
And there is no backup. Nobody has really been able to gain any traction in a real way. And Greg always says, well, it is so early. But usually there's somebody who you can look to and say, hey, that person next time around. I don't think the GOP has that.
Right. No, you're spot on. And then, you look at some of the odds for the presidency on the Republican side. We've looked at polling. We've also looked at the betting odds. Trump is the favorite at minus 325. Which means you got to bet over 3.25 to win 1 back. And then you've got Vivek Ramaswamy, Ron DeSantis in the plus 700 range, which is 7-1 on your money. And then you've got Tim Scott and Glenn Youngkin at 25-1. Christie and Nikki are down at 50-1. Mike Pence at 80-1. So you take that with a grain of salt, much like the polls, very similar. So the betting markets and the polling data looking very similar. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. Our morning mystery movie clip is coming up in just about 5 minutes. But I do want to mention this story we were talking about bans and cancellations earlier in the 8 o'clock hour. And Dawn and I have been very adamant about women's athletics and protecting females from biological males because of not only what they've overcame for 100 years, but also the physical limitations on a female compared to a male. But what about competitions that aren't physical? I like this story, and I like where they're going, and I'll be consistent with it, but I don't know where the inherent advantage might lie. But an international chess society has banned trans women from women's competition. Chess's governing body has decided to separate the kings and the queens. While they may appear next to each other on the board, they're not going to be in the same tournament brackets moving forward. According to the Washington Post, the International Chess Federation, or FIDE, F-I-D-E, has announced a ban on transgender players in women's tournaments. While guidelines said biological men have, quote, no right to compete in women's tournaments, it mentioned that there would be, quote, further analysis on the matter. That analysis is expected to take 2 years. Additionally, if a female player transitions, they will vacate their women's titles. I don't know how chess came to this conclusion. I understand the story last week we gave you with Canada, where the Canadian powerlifting governing body decided to say, you know what, a powerlifting man is going to come into a women's sport and dominate it, and we're not going to have that. Proud day for women's athletics when you're doing deadlifts and power cleans and you're a female and you think you've got 185 pounds snatched up on the bar, and then here comes a dude and he does 205 and you feel bad about it. But now with chess, I don't know, other than the fact that, hey, we want to separate you based on your sex. I mean, I was more of a checkers guy than a chess player. I don't know where the advantage is for the dude to come in and compete against women, unless it's just merely, hey, I identify as this, so I would like to be accepted as that. Which again, if that's how you feel, that's fine. You're just not going to jam it down my throat, and you're not going to fool me. I don't know. Are your kids into chess? Have they ever competed against biological females, Dawn?
No, my sons are into chess. I love that you brought up this story because it just shows. I'll give you an example. My brother John, my dad taught him how to play chess.
Okay.
My brother was encouraged to learn all the sports and go into basketball and football and all of that.
Yep.
And I was encouraged from a young age to do all the things that I did. Dancing, I did cheerleading, I did like acrobatics.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually not encouraged to do as much with girls' sports or chess because it's traditionally something that's male. I know that's changing, but I think that they bring up a great point. They're saying that women are and females are at an advantage.
Females are at an advantage.
That's what they're saying.
Oh, I thought they were going to try to make the case that
No.
men have like superior critical thinking skills or some nonsense.
Are they superior critical thinking abilities the way the male brain is
No, because
wired?
the male brain shuts off a lot of times.
No, but I think it brings up something that we don't like to talk about this. It's right. It's not politically correct to talk about the fact that and this is worldwide, remember. So think about all the cultures where until fairly recently, and in some cultures currently, girls are not allowed to go to school. You're not allowed to be a competitor in sports. And so traditionally on the planet, and even in America here, I talked about my brother, he was taught how to play chess. So traditionally, these are men's games. And so women have often said, isn't this great that women are being encouraged among women and girls that we would be encouraged to compete and learn how to compete. And look at how tough the comments are and how men are just tougher competitors and have the ability to just bust up on each other on a field or at chess or in conversation and shake hands at the end of the day.
Right.
How do men learn to do that? Because of competitions and sports. Women, it's a whole different game with women, but sports and competitions have changed that and opened that up to women, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel that it's important to recognize that. I really do.
I agree. Well said.
So are men better at critical thinking? I'm not a scientist. I don't even know the research on it.
Right.
But I can tell you that most men are in general better at chess. Now, are some women and girls now succeeding in that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're allowed. But I think it's important to recognize it's not just about the physicality, it's about culture. And in many cultures around, and this is a worldwide international thing. It's not just an American competition, right?
Yes, international.
And so think about all the cultures where women have been oppressed. I mean, now Afghanistan, we're hearing more, we're coming up on 2 years on Afghanistan.
Yeah.
We're hearing
That
horrible
Bosch
things about the
withdrawal.
women there and all of that. So you have to step back and say internationally what's happening culturally with women. How does that impact their ability to be a critical thinker, to compete?
That's a great point. 855-839-1210 is the phone number if you would like to jump in. 9:20 here on a Monday morning. It's time for our Monday morning mystery. Our morning mystery.
Say this 10 times fast, Nick Kayal.
Hold on a second. Anyway. Our morning mystery movie clip.
And now, the morning mystery movie clip on Kayal and Company. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Buongiorno, signore, in piacere. Gli amici della vedetta ammirata da tutti noi, questa gemma propria della nostra cultura, saranno naturalmente accolti sotto la mia protezione per la durata del loro soggiorno. Grazie. Gorlomi? Lo pronuncio correttamente?
Sì, corretto.
Gorlomi? Per cortesia, me lo ripeti ancora.
Gorlami.
Mi scusi, con me?
Gorlami.
Ancora una volta.
Think you know what it is? Be call at 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
How's this? A 4-pack of tickets to see the Reading Phillies against the New Hampshire Fisher Cats on Sunday, September 3rd at First Energy Stadium in Reading, Pennsylvania. Caller 12-855-839-1210. If you can identify that movie clip, see if we have a winner as we continue. Kayal and Company live here on a Monday morning on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hello, I'm a Bradford White water heater, and I'm looking for a good home, like yours. I promise to deliver all the hot water you need for your family. I'm reliable and efficient, and not bragging here, but I'm built to be the best, too. Just ask a plumbing professional. They'll tell you that Bradford White water heaters are a great choice for your home or business. Check out my website, bradfordwhite.com, and even find a pro who will install me. How you heat your water matters, so choose me. Choose Bradford White.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital.
Age 65 or older, you may be at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
I want to be able to keep my plans.
So I'm asking my doctor about getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's Custom Fit Orthotics Assessment in Walmart today. Now in the foot care aisle.
This is Matt Spiegel of 670 The Score in Chicago, and my podcast, The PBP, Voices of Baseball, is all about the art and craft of play-by-play. Catch up on episodes with Joe Davis, Joe Buck, and many more. Then something crazy happened along the way. I did a weekend of Cubs-Cardinals on the radio, so now conversations are enriched with feedback and advice from Jason Benetti, Boog Shambi, and others to come. The PBP, Voices of Baseball. I bring you the people who bring you the game. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics. 215-999-3000.
Parks Casino. Joe Conklin hosts national comedians every other Thursday. It's Joe Conklin's Comedy Night at Parks. Show dates and tickets. Go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com.
Listen on your schedule. Anytime. Just go to 1210 WPHT on the Odyssey app and search the Kayal and Company podcasts.
Kayal and Company 926 rolling on live here on a Monday morning. Nick, Dawn, and Greg, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Still ahead this morning, what's on the cut sheet part 2, what's on tap for the Dawn Show, and who on Twitter today. We also have Dawn's Big 3 coming up in just a few moments. Get a story or two in here as well. A lot of people talking about their appearance. John Fetterman. I've got a Botox story for guys in which they're calling it Brotox. So that's coming up. But right now we have our morning mystery movie clip winner on the line. Robin in Huntington Valley is with us. Robin, good morning. What was the clip we just played for you?
Inglourious Bastards.
That is absolutely correct. Nice work by you. That came out 14 years ago today, August 21st, 2009. So congratulations to you, Robin. You're going to go see the Reading Phillies coming up on September 3rd.
Cool, thank you.
You are welcome, and we appreciate you listening, and thank you for playing.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks.
All right, there she is. Robin in Huntington Valley. He's got the Red and Phillies tickets, a little double-A baseball action Labor Day weekend. All right, before we get to our last story of the day and what's on the cut sheet part 2, we get to Dawn Stensland, just about 1 hour removed from her last version of the Big 3 at 9:27.
It's the Big 3 at 9 on Kayal and Company.
And Big 3 at 9 this morning, sponsored by Holland Floor Covering. So we do have in the headlines one of the biggest state fires, forest fires in New Jersey that we've seen in more than 15 years. This is Wharton State Forest Fire. They're calling it the Dragway Fire because it started near the old Atco Dragway. So now it has overnight spread to 200 plus acres burning in New Jersey. I don't know. I'm not hearing that they're saying that we're going to feel the effects of that or see the effects of the smoke. Because sometimes when the Canadian wildfires hit, we get that reaction.
Yeah.
But this thing is raging and growing. So I wanted to give you that update this morning.
I know it's all based on directions and patterns, but it's amazing. Something from Canada can get us, but something in Camden cannot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2, we've had fun with talking about maybe should Nick Kayal get his own calendar, like a wall calendar.
Kayal and Company calendar.
Right?
Yeah.
The looks of Kayal.
We could have a
should
whole
he
Kayal
wear a
clubhouse.
beard?
Yes.
Yeah. So now the latest calendar cover furry is Flyers Gritty, releasing a cute, furry, sexy calendar celebrating the Flyers Gritty 4th birthday.
Okay. Well, it doesn't matter what month you put the Flyers on. Odds are they will not win the Stanley Cup. So there you go.
But it is cute. It's getting some play.
Yeah.
And so Gritty, the official mascot of the Flyers, it's all for charity. It's all for the Flyers nonprofits and supporting that. But it's a cute little cat.
How do we feel about the mascots in this town? We've got Gritty with the Flyers. We've got Swoop with the Eagles. We've got the Fanatic with the Phillies. And the Sixers used to have...
used to be Hip Hop the Bunny.
Hip Hop the Bunny, yeah. That's long gone.
Which is weird.
I've always gone with the Fanatic number 1. I think the Fanatic, if you're putting like a Mount Rushmore of mascots together across the cities, across this country in pro sports, you got to put the Fanatic up there.
Well, I mean, he's the first one, isn't he?
I mean,
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, but Dave Raymond,
right,
who's been here at Odyssey World headquarters, I believe he said that. I believe he said that the Philly Fanatic was the first mascot.
Okay.
Maybe I'm
It's
wrong. I'm sure somebody's
like a
somebody's
George
gonna,
Washington of mascots.
It's going to be somebody who's going to correct me, but I think he's so. Just for being that, I think he needs to be number one, right?
I would agree.
Swoop's also a good mascot.
Yeah, Swoop's good. Yeah, Swoop's a good guy.
Yeah.
The 76ers thing there. Yeah. Gritty's just funny and creepy.
Gritty's good.
Yeah, Swoop, he's a lot like Lou. He's on number 2, too.
Well, speaking of which, so this morning we've talked a lot about trends. Like Nick Kayal said he's going to talk about this Brotox coming up. Been talking about different trends. Tattoos, at least 23% of Americans apparently have a tattoo. But there's another trend.
Okay.
And this goes off of furry gritty. But let's talk about trends about female furriness.
Oh, no,
And I'm talking about down under.
What?
And so now influencers are coming out.
Oh, hang on. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
MGM guy says the San Diego chicken was the first one. See, I knew somebody was.
Oh, thank you.
Correct me.
San Diego chicken.
Boo.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Please don't bother me with such frivolity.
I know. I had to stop. I stopped on in the middle of an important story to correct the record.
Well,
All right,
now
Dawn, sorry.
this is influencers speaking out and psychologists and doctors even getting involved in this conversation to say that in female mainstream culture, this is a good thing to normalize the hair down under, the pubic hair.
Oh, boy.
That and now you have these influencers in their bikini and they're showing, they're showing the scruff, if you will.
How dare they?
I don't know how to feel about this.
I don't even know how I'm supposed to comment on this.
As a lasered lady.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So here's the thing.
It's making a comeback,
It
though.
is
Yeah.
because they're saying that due to, unfortunately, porn, soft porn, the internet, the availability of that, they're really pushing back on saying this is not normal to be bare, that you should show your hair.
Okay.
And
Dawn's putting a new spin on Anheuser-Busch.
Thank God she brought this up, because, Nick, you and I would sound creepy if we brought this up,
I'm
wouldn't
trying to appropriately and professionally, but psychologists and doctors are actually saying this is a good idea because you don't want the other bare thing to be normalized, because now with the internet, kids see stuff that they shouldn't see, and then they think that this should be like a porn star, and it's never going to be such a way.
Many strategists out there are trying to normalize Ron DeSantis. So we've actually got the Florida governor on the line. Ron, you heard Dawn's latest update. What do you know about this?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Oh, God.
No,
Oh, God.
that was so creepy.
Oh, God. It's just wrong.
Mustard.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, God.
Woo, we went off the rails. But influencers are saying this has to do with your beauty standards and your hygiene. And the presence of this down under rug does not mean you have poor hygiene. And they want to especially put this out there. So influencers and young influencers, putting out their photos.
Karine, your thoughts on this growing trend?
I would refer you to the White House counsel.
Peter Ducey with a follow-up. Could you care to elaborate on that?
I'm not going to get beyond that.
Nick is just letting his soundboard comment so he doesn't have to.
Oh, well, that's well
It was
played.
the politicians.
That's well played, my friend.
Oh, man.
Oh, maybe Hunter Biden. He looks, he looks well waxed.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Speaking of waxed, what about waxed floors? Holland floor covering.
Oh, my God. Holland floor covering is like, what are you doing to us? All of a sudden, Holland floor covering, their phones are ringing off the hook.
Friday was supposed to be the last show of the week before vacation, but it just happened to be Monday now.
So fired. Speaking of rugs and waxing.
Oh, my Lord.
Holland floor covering, our sponsor, is the region's premier flooring dealer, family operated for more than 50 years, providing exceptional service as well as professional installation. So visit their 2 showrooms in either Wayne and Newtown. No charge samples, no obligation estimates. Learn more at hollandfloor.com. Thank you, Holland Floor Covering for sponsoring our big three.
You know, I'm thirsty for a beer, but suddenly I have an urge for a bush pounder.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I love those. Love those pounders.
Softball beer of choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that'll do it. Dawn.
Dawn, you better keep your mouth closed.
I'm so fired. Mary Walter she'll be doing.
Well, she's in for Zioli today.
She's in for Zioli, so Mary, you might be coming in early next.
Oh my God!
Tomorrow too.
Oh boy.
All
right.
Questions for Mary.
As the boss who's sitting right here, I'm fine with it.
There you go.
As long
Thank
as it's
you,
coming
sir.
from you and
That's
not Nick
correct.
Rye.
That's
Thank you,
right.
sir. I'm reporting an actual. This is psychologists and influencers.
Of course, it's all news.
It's all science.
Yeah.
Trust the science.
Science.
All right, 9:35 as we get to Greg Stocker's What's on the Cut Sheet Part 2.
What's on the cut sheet?
I do. You know what's funny? Is that I printed it out and I don't have it with me. So talk amongst yourselves for a second.
All right, so actually, yes,
Discuss.
Greg Stocker had the cut sheet ready, and I've actually got some of the clips in front of me here.
Ooh,
So
look at you.
yeah. Well, I did. Where did I go with it? Did I delete them? I might have deleted them. You got any more grooming stories to fill some time with? No, I did.
Well, the other one I did notice because you've been posting on Twitter some of your poolside pictures. And I did see that story that 25% of all Americans have tattoos. I noticed the tattoo.
Yeah.
You have some tattoos. I noticed them because you're in your swimsuit.
I have one.
And what is it?
I've
It's
got
on your arm.
On my right arm, I've got the praying palms with the cross and the rosary beads. Got that when I graduated high school, summer of 2002. And I've been thinking about a second tattoo. I just don't know where I would get it. The one that I would really like is probably too expensive. I'd like to get like some sort of like half sleeve that goes shoulder, upper part of the arm, chest plate, and backbone. But that's probably going to take like 4 or 5 visits and probably $2,000, and I don't have $2,000.
By the way, the YouTube chat right now is just, I thought they'd be all turned off and disgusted by Dawn's story.
No, of course not.
They're all like, everybody's telling us their and their wives' shaving habits.
Well, jeez.
Go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT if you want to join in on the chat. By the way, we're like 25 likes away from 200. So if you're watching right now, I'm tongue-tied. If you're watching right now, please hit the like button.
Greg thought the audience would have this reaction.
Stop it! Just stop it!
But apparently...
Who cares? Nobody cares.
Yes, they just talk about whatever you want.
Yeah, because it's a real conversation among people. I would just say, remember, I bought because everybody's getting beards, so I had bought the thing called manscaping.
Yeah.
And I have been like the whole family is laughing at me. I didn't know that if you buy the shaving stuff, that you can't use the same shaver tool for everything.
Yes.
So you need separate.
Yes.
I didn't know.
Diversity in trimmers.
Okay. So
Nick, are you uncomfortable with this conversation?
No,
you look
I'm
a little
never uncomfortable in any situation. I'm just, I'm a little surprised, honestly, that the crowd's taking it as well as they are.
But for stocking stuffers, if you're getting your,
I mean, it's a nice pivot away from our normal conversation.
Maybe we can spend 2 more hours talking about Trump v. DeSantis. Well, we're going to get to that because Steve Ducey this morning said that Trump, by Trump skipping the debates, he's giving Joe Biden an excuse for not debating him in the general election. This is cut 16.
Plural. It sounds like he might not do any of them. Unfortunately, by skipping the debates, Donald Trump may actually be helping Joe Biden because he's giving Joe Biden an excuse for not debating Donald Trump. That's one of the things that Ronna McDaniel told the former president when she was trying to get him to do the first debate, but he said, nope, not going to do it.
I don't know how that would be, though. How could Joe Biden rationalize not going against Donald Trump?
Because if Donald Trump says, everybody knows me, I don't need to do it, then Joe Biden does, everybody everybody knows
Joe
me. I'm
Biden would
president.
love to have an excuse not to be in a debate.
I mean, if he doesn't want to do the debate, I can totally understand it because he can't get through a sentence. If you watched him over the weekend just slur his way through that mini summit, and who knows what's going to happen in Hawaii.
Right, so
but
Joe Biden would love to see Donald Trump not do it. Then he's got a perfect game. I don't have to do it either then.
David Axelrod said over the weekend that Donald Trump would be crazy to do this because he's got such a substantial lead. It's all downside. I don't necessarily agree with that, but to say that, you know, I'm not going to debate RFK, you could say I'm the sitting president. But to say you're not going to debate the number one contender, you would be the first time since, I guess, Eisenhower and Al Smith, since there's not debates, since Kennedy and Nixon decided to do black and white television debates.
So we're we're at the point now where nobody wants to debate anybody, which makes me think that we're going to have some of these networks start running with this is a threat to democracy because we're not giving the people what they want. So if I read this correctly, Joe and Donald, neither one want to debate, and nobody wants to see these two in a rematch in 2024. So why don't we just fast forward right ahead and skip over all this other ancillary fluff that apparently doesn't matter? Let these two decide it, and then we'll move on to something else.
Well, I think Biden and his DOJ hope to shackle and jail Trump.
I know.
So I think that's their part of the plan.
I don't want to debate, and I also want to have my chief rival locked up.
So you guys don't agree that this will give Biden an excuse not to debate him?
I mean, I think it'll probably give him an excuse, but, I mean, it's like, you know, you don't want to be that person that's pointing fingers when you've also been the one who's, you know, ducked and dipped and dodged out of the way. I mean, Joe just campaigned from a basement in 2020, and they're right. I mean, the guy can't put together 2 sentences right now. This is going to be brutal.
Even Politico is admitting Biden has 3 massive issues that are clouding his reelection campaign. I'm sure listeners of this program can determine what those 3 are, but it's nice when Politico's Jonathan Martin acknowledges it as well. This is cut 3.
I think Biden has basically got 3 issues where he's not figured out what to say. Okay, one is obviously the questions about Hunter Biden, his son. The other is what to say about the investigations into Donald Trump, and the third is about his age. Those are 3 massive issues that are sort of clouding his reelection campaign, and he's not figured out what to say about it.
Well, I don't think he needs to say anything about Trump. His DOJ is doing that for him. I would say the 3 things are Hunter, his health, and then not Trump, but his poll numbers. How does Joe Biden try to even spin his historically low approval ratings? Like, we've talked about him and Jimmy Carter, which I believe Jimmy Carter and his wife both in
final
dire
stages.
Yes,
Yeah.
very sad.
Yep.
But we're talking about, in my lifetime, the worst president of my life. So you can't spin awful. You know, when you go 4-12 in an NFL season, you can't spin it. Well, it was injuries. Well, it was this. No, you're awful. Joe has very little to run on right now, which is why you just kind of hide and hope to win by default.
It's sad. I mean, they're in their late 90s. I mean, you know, they lived a good life. You know.
Oh, the Carters.
Sad, is it? You know. Okay.
Oh. Well, they had a good life.
No, I'm just saying it's all right. They've lived a good life.
I thought it was a classy comment from me, but pick it apart.
I just think you can't compare Trump not competing. Oh, we got a snort.
Yes, we did.
It's
I
Monday
just say
morning.
things. I just say things sometimes.
It's a trigger.
I bring it. Yeah. Sorry, Dawn.
I think you cannot compare Trump not showing up for the first debate to Biden not wanting to debate the final choice on the platform
for the general election.
So we moving forward, we just have to see how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think for Trump, I'm kind of surprised, or I think that the strategy he should have worded things in a way that would be open to suggesting that this week, as he's preparing to turn himself in, which he's been ordered to do, right?
Yes.
So as he's turning himself in to be allegedly, fingerprinted and so on and so forth in Georgia, I'm surprised that he's not a little more open with his responses to say, I'm busy defending myself and people know who I am. Do you know what I'm saying? To just remind everybody of the political ramifications of interfering with a major contender for the, as a challenger to the current, president of the United States of America.
Yep. No question.
New York Times columnist David Brooks was on PBS NewsHour on Friday, and he says the Democrats should be more grateful that Biden is their 24 candidate. So the Democrats aren't grateful enough.
Okay.
And praising Biden enough.
You ingrates.
Cut 7.
And so the Democrats are lucky, frankly, to have a candidate in Biden who has presided over an incredibly strong economic recovery, who has presided over pretty good international peacemaking efforts, both in Asia this week and also in Europe, and who I believe whose numbers will go up as inflation recedes, as it is, and the strong job numbers are there. And they're extremely lucky to have a candidate, frankly, who's not a member of what you'd call the coastal elite. And Joe Biden sends off all the right cultural messages for moderate independent voters who don't have college degrees. And Democrats are not grateful enough for what they have, in my view.
There's nothing moderate about Joe in this reincarnation of his political career. He's not reliable. He's not dependable. He's not well-spoken. He's not fiscally responsible. And he hasn't kept us out of conflict. So other than that, I agree with everything that guy just said. Where does that guy come from?
Other than the premise of, hey, he's a New York Times columnist, so he's a very popular columnist. So
but the big insult with that one is his like condescending people without degrees.
Yeah.
Like,
you mean those that are not in debt that are actually making good money?
It's just his general tone shows where he's coming from.
My God.
He's condescending. He looks down on the deplorables.
He just got dropped off from Pluto.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play. Speaking of the deplorables, I know I played this earlier, but different audiences.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis said this about calling. It sounds to me, and we all agreed that he's calling Trump supporters listless vessels. This is cut 4, Daniel.
We have a strand in our party that views supporting Trump as whether you are a rhino or not. And so you could be the most conservative person since sliced bread, unless you're kissing his rear end, they will somehow call you a rhino. So it's been totally detached from principle and what you actually believe and results, and it's more about just what faction you happen to do. So there'll be people who are huge Trump supporters, like in Congress, who have like incredibly liberal left-wing records that's really just atrocious, and yet they're viewed as by some of these folks as like really, really good. Then you have other people, like a Congressman Chip Roy, who's endorsed me, Congressman Thomas Massey. These guys have records of principle, fighting the swamp that are second to none, and yet they will be attacked by some of these people and called rhinos. So it's just been totally detached from any type of substance, and ultimately a movement can't be about the personality of one individual. The movement has got to be about what are you trying to achieve on behalf of the American people, and that's got to be based in principle. Because if you're not rooted in principle, if all we are is listless vessels that's just supposed to follow, whatever happens to come down the pike on Truth Social every morning, that's not going to be a durable movement.
I would say this, we talked about the conservative movement on Friday and moderates and rhinos versus, Trump supporters or true conservatives. We don't need to bring that up again. But, it's one thing for DeSantis to go after Trump and attack Trump. But attacking his base, you're going to lose that battle 100% of the time. That is a segment of the base. I mean, there's a reason why Trump got 74 million votes. And a good sized portion of that, and I don't know what the exact math is, are hardcore Trump supporters that you just completely obliterated right there.
Yeah, I think this will go down as a basket of deplorables moment for him. I really believe that.
I've been telling you Wednesday's do or die for him, and he might have just killed himself before he even got to Milwaukee.
It was a mistake on his part.
There you go.
And you know what happens is that he's trying to out Christie.
Yep.
And he doesn't know how to compete in these spaces very well. And he just did it very poorly.
Ron has always been a loser.
That's true.
But here's the thing. You can't try to be somebody else.
That's right.
Particularly on the national stage. Be yourself, Ron DeSantis.
In any walk
Show
of life.
your right. Yeah. He is a conservative. He's a very successful governor, and quite frankly, he's a much more successful governor than Chris Christie, who could ever dream to be.
Yeah.
So
Great
just
point.
stay who you are. Don't try to change. Don't try to take somebody else on. Just be who you are. Be authentic.
Don't steal people's personality, their opinions,
Yeah,
what makes them.
nothing.
You know, I can't sit here and try to be Rich Zeoli. I can't sit here and try to imitate Tony Bruno. I'm just going to be myself, and if you're yourself and you're authentic, people pick up on it, and you have a chance to succeed.
Yeah. But just for a second, getting back to David Brooks, who obviously is somebody who has roots right here. So I think his family, he was born in Canada, but I want to say he moved to the main line. He had a Philadelphia connection and a Radnor connection, right?
Yep.
Graduated from Radnor High School back in the day. And so he's considered this conservative. And so he's now what? Thinking that actual, all the Republicans are going to rally around him and say, oh, yeah, we're a bunch of loser deplorables. You know, he's just so patronizing when he says that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where then he can be quoted on CNN or MSNBC, and they can say, well, see,
Right.
Even David Brooks said. Once again, they're just shoving people away.
Mm-hmm.
And this party and those people who are alleged, you know, conservative spokespeople or the brilliant people of the party, once again, don't get it.
I agree.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz took it a step further. He said that the reason Joe Biden doesn't have the support from Americans is because Republicans have poisoned the system.
Oh.
So it's the Republicans' fault
Right.
that Americans hate Joe Biden.
It's Trump's fault.
At least the ones polled, cut 12.
What do you make of that Joe Biden seems to not have this groundswell of support right now? Do you think it's all age?
No, I think it's our system. I think Donald Trump and the Republican Party have poisoned it to people. No one trusts our institutions. No one trusts Congress. No one trusts any of us because all they do is attack our families, do those types of things.
Yeah, and it was Trump who weaponized the DOJ as well. He's trying to put Joe Biden in jail now. How about that?
Joke.
It's a joke. The Republicans. Seriously?
Or is it the incompetence of government
Oh,
that
for
has
sure.
people not trusting government?
Yes. There's no trust in the government. There's no trust in media. We now have less trust in the doctors and the science and the experts from a vaccine standpoint. Americans' trust right now in all of its institutions, I believe collectively, has never been lower.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's the media is complicit here, as we've talked about, but as well, you know, the mandates that I'm not even talking initially, not even within the Biden administration, but when it dragged on and it was you must do this and you must stifle. And now we learn that Twitter and social media was complicit with all of it. You know, for this idiot to stand up there and say, oh, blame the Republicans, give me a break.
Yes.
One more, and then we'll wrap things up. On NBC's Meet the Press, they were talking about Joe Biden's favorability rating, and they're saying it looks more like Hillary Clinton in 2016 than it did Joe Biden in 2020. We know how it worked out for Hillary Clinton in 2016. This is cut 10.
One thing I want to point out here is I want to show you this stuff has taken a huge toll on him. You know, Biden, right before the 2020 election, he was right side up, which in our polarized politics is quite astonishing. But look, Trump and Rudy Giuliani began this campaign to try to tarnish Biden, to try to turn him into the Clinton name, you know, with the obsession over the Ukraine businesses with Hunter. And it's worked. His numbers now look more like Hillary Clinton 16 than Biden 20.
Wow.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of people that have epic meltdowns if Trump finds a way to win in 2024. Of course, history shows that's never happened before, but time will tell.
Also, polls. I take polls with a huge grain of salt.
I do too.
That's all I'm saying.
Pink Himalayan sea salt.
There you go.
Yeah. A little kosher salt, maybe.
Yeah.
Yum.
There you go. All right, that'll do it for the Cut Sheet Part 2. 7 minutes out from the Dawn Show when we find out what she has on tap right now.
Yeah, we'll give you the headlines, as I always do, right off the top to update you on what's happening locally and regionally and nationally, too, with Trump expected to, quote-unquote, turn himself in Georgia. We'll cover all of that, Trump, Biden. But then at 10:04, Meg Brock, Bucks County mom, Moms for Liberty, her reaction to this Politico article that Nick referenced, And over the weekend, I was, talking back and forth with her and just saying I'd love to get her take on this because there's so much bias by omission in that article where they're talking about how Bucks County is, as we've said, maybe an indicator, a canary, as far as how the election goes. So we'll get Meg's take and just a reminder from Meg Brock as to what happened to her as a mom, just trying to be a good mom and ask questions. It's unbelievable what they did to her, the lawsuits and so on and so forth. So we'll talk to Meg Brock. And then as well, moving forward, I will take a deep dive. You'll hear from Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. So we've put together a real composition of where he stands on the issues since he is making headlines this morning. That and more coming up.
All right, the Dawn Show in just about 6 minutes as we wrap it up on a Monday with Who Won Twitter today.
Who won Twitter?
Papa Santo wins Twitter. We're talking about the banning of Fat Bottom Girls by Queen. I mean, they kind of banned it themselves, but he says, what lyrics are they removing from rap songs? Just curious. It's a good point. You always see a lot of these rock artists or country artists that self-censor or self-edit or whatever, and you never see that coming from hip-hop.
It's a very good point. It's good enough for the win today.
That is.
There's a lot of activity on the socials.
Yeah.
Especially on the YouTube chat.
I'm going to make the Zioli thing behind me like an Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah?
So I'm just going to constantly move it from day to day.
I'm thinking we get one of those
Elf on the
those big bad printers down the hallway. We print out a Fetterman picture as well, and we hang that up in here.
There we go.
There you go.
Wait, hang on. Let me see if I can move this camera over there to look at it. There we go.
Careful, don't break anything in there. Takes 6 weeks to fix it.
Patch on our G's.
Patch in our studio. All right, that'll do it for us. Have a great rest of your Monday. Stay tuned. The Dawn Show is coming up next, and we'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.
I'll see you tomorrow. Come talk to me.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I'm asking about Prevnar 20 because there's a chance pneumococcal pneumonia could put me in the hospital. Age 65 or older, you may be at increased